Family Farm, the true tree of the immortal dragon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 5 Element Longevity Sutra. Then, he took out a bottle of first level fairy dew from the storage bag and carefully dropped a drop on each seed point. In an instant, 20 sunflowers grew rapidly, almost breaking out of the ground at a speed visible to the naked eye, growing vigorously until they were fully mature. Ye Changsheng used his magic power to collect the seeds of these mature sunflowers one by one. Each sunflower produced 700 or 800 seeds, and 20 sunflowers produced more than 15,000 seeds in total. However, these seeds were only enough for 1 month's food for Ye Changsheng's huge group of more than 2,000 fire crows. What made him even more headache was that his first level fairy dew was running out. It seemed that he would have to use the second level fairy pair to dilute it before inducing birth next time. Ye Changsheng moved his mind, left the fairy tree space, and returned to the retreat room. He stepped out of the retreat room and walked towards the habitat of the 3-legged fire crows in the back mountain. There, the fire crows were perched on the branches, waiting for his arrival. He took out a storage bag full of sunflower seeds from his storage bag and handed it to the leader of the fire crows, Xiaoho. As a second level demon beast, Xiaoho was already able to use a storage bag. Xiaoho took the storage bag, looked inside, and saw that it was full of sunflower seeds, and a trace of joy flashed in his eyes. It flew around Ye Changsheng intimately and made a few cheerful calls. Then, Xiaoho flew high into the sky and made a crisp call, ordering the fire crows to line up according to their levels. Each of the first level upper grade fire crows received 3 seeds of sunflower seeds. Each of the first level middle grade fire crows received 2 seeds, and each of the first level lower grade fire crows received 1 seed. After eating the sunflower, the fire crows were all refreshed and flew around Ye Changsheng and Xiaoho happily, chirping one after another, as if expressing their gratitude. Ye Changsheng stroked Xiaoho's feathers with a smile and took out a few fire mulberries from the storage bag and handed them to it. Xiaoho happily took the fire mulberries and made a few happy chirps. Ye Changsheng patted its head gently, comforted it a few words, then turned and left, returning to the retreat room to continue practicing. Ye Changsheng's mind moved, and he came to the fairy tree space. The fairy tree space had generated a drop of 3rd level fairy dew last month. Ye Changsheng had never figured out how to use it. After thinking about it, the most important thing now was to improve the strength of the family and his own strength. That would require a lot of spirit stones, and his own spirit stones were almost exhausted. Ye Changsheng finally decided to continue to promote the birth of the Xianling fruit tree. Half burying the core of a Xianling fruit in the spirit soil, Ye Changsheng took out the jade bottle and dripped the drop of 3rd level fairy dew on the core of the Xianling fruit. After a while, a lush 3-meter high Xianling fruit tree rose from the ground. There are still 12 heavenly spirit fruits on it. Ye Changsheng carefully took off the 12 heavenly spirit fruits one by one and put them into the jade box. Now Ye Changsheng has 13 heavenly spirit fruits, and there was 1 left last time. But he plans to sell only 10. Because his mother Cui Linglang and uncle Ye Xianayu are about to build their foundation. After building their foundation, they can take heavenly spirit fruits as for the foundation building supplies for his mother Cui Linglang and uncle Ye Xianayu. There is no shortage. There are still 8 some Qingxiang, 8 portions of golden marigold tea, and 9 portions of Sanbeo spiritual liquid in the family treasure house. 1 medium grade foundation building pill, 7 high grade foundation building pills, and 18 foundation building fruits. The high grade foundation building pills were put in by Ye Changsheng recently. The foundation building pills are basically used for the foundation building of family cultivators. Ye Changsheng packed up and left the fairy tree space with a thought. He entered the retreat room, sat on the altar of the heavenly palace, and came to the heavenly palace again. Ye Changsheng came to the shop where he sold the Xianling fruit last time, sold 10 Xianling fruits, and finally earned 250,000 high-grade spirit stones. Ye Changsheng's pockets became rich again. Ye Changsheng thought about it and decided that, since the Ye family's goal was to become a purple mansion power, the Ye family's skills could not be too bad. So he entered the penultimate ring and began to look for a shop selling skills and secrets. Finally, he found a shop called Cultivation Pavilion. The shop looked very ordinary from the outside, just like a bookstore in the mortal world. But when he entered the shop, he felt that the interior was extraordinary. The shopkeeper was a purple mansion ancestor. Although he was kind to others, he was also very majestic. When the shopkeeper saw Ye Changsheng coming in, he smiled slightly, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. He obviously saw the extraordinariness of Ye Changsheng. "My friend, are you here to find skills and secrets?" The shopkeeper's voice was gentle, but it carried an unquestionable momentum. Ye Changsheng nodded and said respectfully, "That's right. I want to find a suitable technique for my family." The shopkeeper nodded slightly and took Ye Changsheng to the depths of the store. The bookshelves here are filled with various techniques and secrets, which are dazzling. Our Cultivation Pavilion has a wide variety of techniques and secrets, and the quality varies. If you have specific needs, you may as well tell me, the shopkeeper said. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment and said, "I need a third level non-attribute technique, suitable for family members to practice." The shopkeeper nodded, waved his fingers lightly, and 3 ancient books appeared in front of Ye Changsheng. These 3 techniques are all third level non-attribute techniques, namely Wuji Zhenjing, Changsheng Jiaozuan Gong, and Wuxing Changsheng. Among them, Wuxing Changsheng is a 4th level medium quality technique, which is most suitable for family inheritance. The shopkeeper introduced. Ye Changsheng carefully read through the 3 exercises and finally chose the 5-element longevity sutra. This exercise not only has a fast practice speed, but also has low requirements for the qualifications of the practitioner, and is most suitable for extensive practice by family members. This 5-element longevity sutra costs 12,000 high-quality spirit stones. The shopkeeper said. Ye Changsheng took out the spirit stone without hesitation and handed it to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper took the spirit stone, smiled slightly, and handed the jade slip of the 5-element longevity sutra to Ye Changsheng. "Thank you, senior." Ye Changsheng took the exercise and was delighted. "You're welcome. If you have other needs, you can come to Cultivation Pavilion at any time." The shopkeeper said. Ye Changsheng nodded and said goodbye. Ye Changsheng quickly returned to reality from the heavenly palace. He came to the tiger garden with the jade slip of the exercise. When Ye Changsheng came, Ye Jiu, who was in retreat. Ye Changsheng sent a teleportation talisman and entered Ye Jiu, whose retreat room. After a while, Ye Jiu, who came out. "What does Changsheng want to talk to me about?" Ye Jiu, who said, "Grandpa, I have 2 things to report to you. The first thing is that my grandson bought a group of more than 2,000 3-legged fire crows in the heavenly palace, and now they are led by my foundation building 3-legged fire crows. I plan to send them to clear out the 1st level spirit beasts around the Ye family in a while, which will greatly save the time of the family cultivators. But you need to inform the family that the corpses and inner elixirs of the fire attributed monsters harvested by the family should be sent to me. I want to feed the 3-legged fire crows, and I will pay with contribution points." Chapter 102, Feeding the Fire Crow. The second thing is that I feel that the 2nd level high level exercises practiced by the family's foundation building monks are still a bit low. I bought a set of 3rd level mid-level non-attribute exercises 5-element immortality sutra in the Xianggong. You can contribute this technique to the family. Just charge 1.2 million contribution points. Ye Changsheng said, "Well, that's right. You have enough elixirs in your hands and an army of monsters. This will be of great benefit to your combat effectiveness. As for the 3rd level mid-level technique you mentioned, it can be said to be a timely blessing. Our Ye family now has 10 foundation builders, and there will definitely be many more in the future. It's just around the corner for our family to become a Zifu family, and this 3rd level mid-level technique comes just in time. Then let's settle it." From now on, our King Peak family members will practice the Purple Mansion Immortality Sutra after they break through the Foundation establishment, and the family monks will practice the 5-element Sutra of Immortality after they break through the Foundation establishment. Grandpa Ye Jiu was a little excited. Yes, Grandpa, as long as our family survives this huge wave of monsters, it will be just around the corner to become the Zifu family. By the way, Grandpa, I put 7 more high-grade foundation building pills into the family treasury. These can be exchanged for family monks. Ye Changsheng said, okay, this will increase the success rate of our family monks' promotion to foundation building. Ye Jiu was stroking his beard happily while pacing back and forth. Yes, the success rate is at least 50% when using the mid-grade foundation establishment pill to build the foundation, and the success rate is at least 80% when using the high-grade foundation establishment pill to build the foundation. If this continues, there will be at least dozens of our Ye family's foundation building monks. Ye Changsheng added, then I will send the skills to them right now. By the way, during this time, you should hurry up and go to the family training ground to practice sword skills. I always have a feeling that a war is inevitable. If you improve your combat power as soon as possible, you will have more probability of survival. Grandpa Ye Jiu said seriously. Yes, Grandpa. After Ye Jiu finished speaking, he left Ye Changsheng returned to Changsheng Garden to recuperate, and then entered the family training ground to improve his combat effectiveness. A month later, Ye Changsheng came out of the Sword Heavenly Palace, his whole person showing off his sharp edge, and it was obvious that his swordsmanship had been significantly improved. At this time, the clan leader Ye Jialang sent a message to ask him to come over. Ye Changsheng quickly arrived at the family meeting hall. Changsheng, these are the bodies of fire attribute monsters and demon pills that the family has harvested in the past few months. There are 26 fire foxes, 37 salamanders, 29 thunder fire birds, and a dozen complete corpses of miscellaneous fire attribute beasts, but they are all first level. Ye Jialang said and handed Ye Changsheng a storage bag. Okay, thank you patriarch. Ye Changsheng took the storage bag and felt happy when he found mountains of monster corpses inside. Now his group of fire crows had food. It is obviously not enough for so many 3-legged fire crows to eat only the sun spirit sunflower. Feeding the spirit beasts also requires various combinations. Spirit beast meat and demon pills of the same attribute are also essential. These count as your 20,000 contribution points, and I have already deducted them for you. Ye Jialang said, these monsters were all killed by the great elders, but these days they are studying the new technique 5-element of immortality given to them by your grandfather Ye Jiu. There is no time to continue to go out and kill the first order monsters. Beast, but this strangulation of the first order monster beasts is an order from the major sects, and we have to carry it out. It's okay to ask the family monks in the late stage of key refining to take action, but there will definitely be casualties. There are only more than 200 family monks now. Losing even one is heartbreaking, so this time I want to ask you to take action and lead your group of fire crows to clean up the surrounding first order monster beasts. What do you think? Ye Jialang said, no problem. I will feed these monsters to them first and then lead them out of the mountain. The spirit beasts still need to exercise. Ye Changsheng replied simply, okay, Changsheng, I'll leave it to you. Ye Jialang is obviously satisfied with this result. Ye Changsheng said goodbye to the clan leader and went directly to the mountain behind King Peak. This is where he keeps the 3-legged fire crows. More than 2,000 3-legged fire crows perched on 2 tall fire hibiscus trees. The branches were densely packed with fire crows, which looked extremely crowded. As soon as Ye Changsheng stepped into the back mountain, Xiaohuo immediately flew over it, rubbed against Ye Changsheng's shoulder affectionately, and made several happy chirps. Ye Changsheng gently stroked Xiaohuo's feathers and said warmly, Xiaohuo, I have something good for you to eat today. After that, he took out a lot of corpses of fire attribute monsters from his storage bag and piled them on the ground. When Xiaohuo saw the corpses of these monster beasts, a glint of excitement flashed in his eyes, and he immediately chirped a few times and ordered the fire crows to get down from the tree point. Upon hearing the order, the fire crows on the fire fusang tree spread their wings and flew down, surrounding the monster's corpse. Ye Changsheng looked at the group of fire crows and said with a smile, "Eat quickly, there will be a battle in a while." When the fire crows heard this, they immediately swarmed up with their sharp beaks and began to peck at the corpse of the monster. They moved quickly, and their beaks were as sharp as blades. They quickly tore apart the monster's skin and flesh, tearing off the flesh strips one by one, and swallowing them. The corpses of these monster beasts were quickly eliminated by the fire crows. Ye Changsheng noticed that Xiaohou carefully distributed the fire attribute demon pills to more than 100 first level, high-grade 3-legged fire crows. After getting the demon pill, these fire crows flew back to the fire hibiscus tree and began to digest and absorb quietly. Ye Changsheng watched all this with satisfaction and nodded secretly in his heart. The fire crows were full, and their combat effectiveness would naturally increase a lot. He whispered to Xiaohou, "Xiaohou, after you digest the energy of these monsters, we will set out to clean up the surrounding first level monsters." Xiaohou understood what Ye Changsheng said, nodded, then flew back to the tree and began to close his eyes to rest. Taking advantage of this time, Ye Changsheng returned to the retreat room and came to the space of the true dragon fairy tree again. Ye Changsheng took out 7 mulberries from the storage bag and carefully arranged them on the ground at equal distances. Then he carefully dripped a drop of second level fairy dew on each mulberry. In a flash, 7 more than 10 meters high fire hibiscus trees rose from the ground, and the trees were full of mature fire mulberries. Each tree had more than 3,000 fruits, and the 7 trees had more than 20,000 fruits in total. Ye Changsheng picked the fruits one by one and carefully put them into the jade box. After completing all this, he left the fairy tree space and came to the back mountain of Kinghu Peak. He transplanted the 7 empty fire hibiscus trees in the fairy tree space to the side of the 2 fire hibiscus trees in front. Ye Changsheng said to Xiaohou, "These are your new homes." After hearing this, Xiaohou began to allocate nests for more than 2,000 fire crows. The fire crows happily flew to the 9 fire hibiscus trees that were more than 10 meters high and quickly found their new homes. Each fire crow seemed very satisfied and not crowded at all. Chapter 103 Fire Crows Fight. Soon after, the fire crows flew down from the fire hibiscus tree one after another, apparently having digested everything, and were ready. Ye Changsheng stood up, looking into the distance with a determined gaze, his heart full of fighting spirit. "Let's go." He gave an order, and Xiaohou led more than 2,000 3-legged fire crows to fly into the sky in a mighty manner. Ye Changsheng followed closely behind in his flying boat, his heart full of expectations for future battles. According to the information provided by the clan leader Ye Jialong, a group of first level ice crystal rabbits were wreaking havoc 50 miles northeast of the Ye family. Ye Changsheng arrived here soon and found a group of blue ice crystal rabbits entrenched in a town. Each of these ice crystal rabbits was the size of a calf, and they not only ate crops, but also people. There were also incomplete human corpses on the broken city walls. Ye Changsheng sensed it and found that there were about 500 of them, led by a huge first level superior rabbit king. Ye Changsheng stood on the deck of the flying boat, overlooking the ruins of the castle below. The walls were covered with cracks, broken buildings were scattered everywhere, and the air was filled with blood and cold. The ice rabbits wandered around the castle, their blue fur flashing coldly in the sun. Xiaohou, prepare for battle. Ye Changsheng ordered loudly. Xiaohou is now several times larger than an ordinary fire crow, with feathers like burning flames and eyes piercing. It circled in the air, let out a high-pitched cry, and then led more than 2,000 3-legged fire crows to dive down. Fire crow formation, blazing storm. Xiaohou conveyed the order with his spiritual sense, and the fire crows quickly arranged into a huge formation, with blazing flames on their wings. With Xiaohou's order, the fire crows all spewed out flames, forming a blazing firestorm, and rushed straight to the ice rabbit group. The ice rabbits felt threatened and made sharp cries one after another, and blue ice crystals quickly condensed on their bodies, forming ice shields. The flames collided with the ice shield, making a harsh hissing sound, and the air was filled with steam and sparks. An ice crystal rabbit tried to fight back, It opened its mouth wide and blew out a stream of icy cold air, heading straight for a fire crow. The fire crow dodged flexibly, then turned back and blew out a ball of fire surrounding the ice crystal rabbit. The ice crystal rabbit screamed miserably, and its body was quickly engulfed by the flames and turned into ashes. Xiao circled in the air, his eyes fixed on the battlefield below. It found a particularly large ice crystal rabbit, that is, the Rabbit King. The ice crystals on the Rabbit King are more solid than other ice crystal rabbits, emitting a cold light. It stood in the center of the castle, staring coldly at the group of fire crows in the sky. Xiao, target the Rabbit King. Ye Changsheng's voice rang in Xiao's mind. Xiao let out a deafening cry and led a team of elite fire crows to pounce on the Rabbit King. The Rabbit King felt threatened and let out a low roar. The ice crystals on his body expanded rapidly, forming a thick ice shield. The flames spewed by the fire crows were blocked by the ice shield and could not penetrate. A cold light flashed in Xiao's eyes, and he suddenly accelerated and rushed towards the Rabbit King. The Rabbit King opened his mouth and sprayed out a stream of cold air, trying to freeze Xiao. Xiao flexibly dodged it and then sprayed out a hot flame, hitting the Rabbit King's ice shield. The ice shield began to melt under the high temperature, and the Rabbit King roared angrily, and the ice crystals on his body quickly repaired. Xiao no longer hesitated. It suddenly spread its wings, and blazing flames ignited on its claws and rushed straight to the Rabbit King. The Rabbit King tried to fight back, but Xiao was too fast, and its claws grabbed the Rabbit King's ice shield fiercely. The flames spread rapidly, burning the ice shield red. The Rabbit King screamed miserably, and the ice crystals on his body began to melt. Xiao took the opportunity to spit out a blazing flame, which hit the Rabbit King's head directly. The Rabbit King's head was instantly engulfed by the flames, and he let out a last scream, fell to the ground, and turned into a pile of ashes. At the same time, the other fire crows, under the command of Xiao, quickly destroyed the ice crystal rabbits. The collision between flames and ice crystals continued in the castle, and the air was filled with steam and sparks. The fire crows flexibly dodged the attacks of the ice crystal rabbits, spitting out blazing flames, and destroyed the ice crystal rabbits one by one. Ye Changsheng stood on the flying boat, watching the battle below with a firm gaze. The battle lasted for an hour, and finally, under the fierce attack of the fire crows, the ice crystal rabbits were completely destroyed. The cold atmosphere in the castle gradually dissipated, replaced by warm flames and the light of hope. Xiao, well done. Ye Changsheng praised loudly. Xiao made a joyful cry and led the fire crows to circle in the air to celebrate the victory. The intelligence that the clan leader Ye Jialang gave Ye Changsheng was that there were two groups of monsters. After destroying these ice crystal rabbits, the remaining place was the Thunder Wolf Pack. Located 200 miles southeast of the King's Huyi family. After a little rest, Ye Changsheng drove the flying boat with the fire crows and headed straight for the Thunder Wolf Pack. Ye Changsheng led the fire crows to the small town, where the Thunder Wolf Pack was wreaking havoc. The city walls were dilapidated. The streets were full of charred marks, and the air was filled with a burnt smell. The howling of the Thunder Wolf Pack came one after another, full of threats and uneasiness. Ye Changsheng stood on the flying boat, looking at the wolf pack below with a cold look. These thunder wolves were covered with silver white hair, and their eyes flashed with blue lightning. They were obviously extremely difficult opponents. There were more than 700 of them, densely distributed throughout the city, like a silver ocean. Xiao, prepare for battle. Ye Changsheng ordered in a low voice. Xiao let out a high-pitched cry, leading more than 150 first-grade three-legged fire crows to rush towards the Thunder Wolf Pack. The fire crows spread their wings, spewed out blazing flames, and pounced on the Thunder Wolf below. The Thunder Wolf Pack immediately responded, howling to the sky. Blue lightning flashed on their bodies and quickly gathered into lightning spells, shooting at the fire crows in the air. The lightning spell intertwined into a huge electric net in the air, flashing a dazzling light, as if to tear everything apart. The fire crows flexibly dodged the lightning spell, but many fire crows were still hit by the lightning, screaming miserably, and fell from the air. The Thunder Wolf on the ground immediately pounced on it, and tore the falling fire crow in two pieces with its sharp teeth. At the same time, the ordinary fire crows were not to be outdone. Although they did not have the powerful flames of the three-legged fire crows, they still showed a tenacious fighting spirit. They swooped down in groups, using their speed and flexibility to constantly harass the lightning wolves. Although the claws and beaks of the ordinary fire crows could not directly cause fatal damage to the lightning wolves, their attacks successfully distracted the lightning wolves and bought precious time for the three-legged fire crows and Ye Changsheng. Chapter 104 Prohibition. Ye Changsheng's heart tightened when he saw this scene. He knew that this battle must not be taken lightly, otherwise not only would the fire crows suffer heavy losses, but he himself might also be in danger. 12. Zhu and Guang swords. Out, Ye Changsheng shouted in a low voice, pinched his fingers, and the 12 Zhu and Guang swords flew out in an instant, turning into sword lights, and rushed straight to the Thunder Wolf pack. The Zhu and Guang swords drew beautiful arcs in the air, and pierced the Thunder Wolf's body accurately. Each sword carried a powerful spiritual power, tearing the Thunder Wolf's body apart, and blood splattered. Ye Changsheng's swordsmanship was exquisite, and the 12 Zhu and Guang swords seemed to have spirituality, shuttling in the air, and the Thunder Wolf fell wherever they passed. Xiaohou was not to be outdone. It spread its wings and flew high, spewing a blazing flame, burning a Thunder Wolf to ashes. Its speed was extremely fast, like a red lightning, shuttling through the Thunder Wolf pack, constantly spewing flames, burning the Thunder Wolf to ashes. At this moment, the group of fire crows suddenly collectively let out a loud cry, as if they were communicating with each other tacitly. Then, all the fire crows spread their wings at the same time, spewing out hot flames. These flames gathered in the air, forming a sea of flames, sweeping towards the thunder and lightning wolves. The magic spells released collectively by the fire crows were powerful, as if they were going to burn the entire battlefield to ashes. The thunder and lightning wolves struggled and howled in this sea of flames, looking extremely embarrassed. Ye Changsheng was shocked when he saw this scene. He knew that the collective attack of the fire crows had already caused a huge blow to the thunder and lightning wolves, and now was the best time to counterattack. 12. Zhuangguang swords. Combine. Ye Changsheng shouted in a low voice, pinched his fingers, and the 12 Zhuangguang swords instantly merged into one, turning into a huge sword light, rushing straight at the thunder and lightning wolves. The sword light carried an extremely sharp breath, as if it was going to tear everything apart. The thunder and lightning wolves felt a powerful pressure, and they all let out terrified howls, trying to avoid the attack of the sword light. However, the speed of the sword light was extremely fast, and it instantly pierced into the Thunder Wolf pack. Wherever the sword light passed, the Thunder Wolves fell one after another, and blood splattered. Ye Changsheng's swordsmanship was exquisite, and the sword light seemed to have spirituality, shuttling through the Thunder Wolf pack, constantly piercing the Thunder Wolf's body, and destroying them one by one. Seeing this scene, Xiaohou let out a high-pitched cry, and led the fire crows to rush towards the Thunder Wolf pack again. The fire crows spread their wings and spewed out hot flames, destroying the Thunder Wolves one by one. The battle lasted for 2 hours, and finally, with the hard fight of Ye Changsheng and Xiaohou, the Thunder Wolf pack was completely destroyed. The lightning and the city gradually dissipated. Ye Changsheng stood on the flying boat, looking firmly at the battlefield below. He knew that, although this battle was difficult, he and the fire crows finally won. Let's go home. Ye Changsheng drove the flying boat, led Xiaohou and the fire crows, and flew towards the Ye family. The flying boat drew a beautiful arc in the air. The flying boat quickly accelerated, passed through the clouds, and flew towards the Ye family. On the way, Ye Changsheng took out the communication talisman and sent a message to the clan leader, asking him to send clansmen to the battlefield to collect the spoils soon after. The flying boat landed in front of the nest of the fire mulberry. Ye Changsheng led the fire crows back to their familiar home. The fire mulberry tree was towering into the sky, with lush branches and leaves, and hundreds of three-legged fire crows perched on the tree. Ye Changsheng looked around and found that more than 70 fire crows were lost in this battle, and his heart was inevitably heavy. The fire crows flew back to the tree, perched on the branches, and recovered their strength. Ye Changsheng took out 2 jade boxes from his arms, containing 1,000 and 2,500 fire mulberries respectively. He walked up to Xiaohou and handed it 2 jade boxes. Xiaohou, this is your war award. Ye Changsheng said with a smile. Xiaohuo saw the fire mulberries in the jade box, and his eyes flashed with excitement. He carefully put away the jade box containing 1,000 fire mulberries, and then scattered the remaining 2,500 fire mulberries on the ground, making a high-pitched cry. The three-legged fire crows on the tree smelled the scent of the second-level spiritual fruit, flapped their wings and flew down, surrounding the fire mulberries. They pecked at the fire mulberries excitedly, enjoying this feast in an orderly manner. Each second-level fire mulberry exudes a rich spiritual energy, making the feathers of the fire crows more colorful and their aura more powerful. Ye Changsheng stood aside and watched all this with satisfaction. He noticed that, after eating the second-level fire mulberries, the aura of 7 first-level top-grade fire crows became extremely strong, and they seemed to be on the verge of a breakthrough. Ye Changsheng's mind moved, and he decided to give them a chance to break through at the right time. Just when Ye Changsheng and the fire crows were resting and recuperating. Lineage sect, which controls the Great Zhao Cultivation World, Xingyu Valley, which controls the Great Qin Cultivation World, Ling Mountain, which controls the Great Han Cultivation World, Xianyuan Daoyuan, which controls the Great Wei Cultivation World, Xianjian sect, which controls the Great Song Cultivation World, Qinglian sect, which controls the Great Yan Cultivation World, Qiang sect, which controls the Great Chu Cultivation World, Qinggyan sect, which controls the Great Jin Cultivation World, jointly issued a decree on cultivation, prohibiting the migration of all cultivation forces in the territory, prohibiting all cultivation forces in the territory from fighting internally, and each cultivation force has its own defense zone. In the face of the tide of monsters, those who dare to flee will be exterminated. These 8 great cultivation worlds are the power areas close to the Zilong Mountains in the Longnan Great Cultivation World. There are more than 100 such national cultivation realms in Longnan. The ruler of each country is a 5th level force, and the history of the sect is more than 5,000 years. The 5th level Jade Tree realm has never been interrupted. The King's Huyi family, where Ye Changsheng is located, is in the Great Zhao Cultivation realm. However, the King's Huyi family is not close to the front line of the Zilong Mountains, because the King's Hu Peak area belongs to a place with sparse spiritual land. If the battle line is divided, the King's Hu Peak area should belong to the far right of the third line. This is not the focus of the monster tide. In the bulge of the front line, there are still many 4th level and 3rd level forces and countless 1st and 2nd level forces, and according to the strength division, the various forces are controlled layer by layer. The 4th level Fenglui Pavilion is responsible for the King's Hu Peak area. Under the Fenglui Pavilion is the Zifu Liu family. The Zifu Liu family is responsible for commanding more than 60 foundation building families. This includes the King's Huyi family. Now the instructions given by the Daoting Liu family to the major foundation building families are to clear out the 1st level monsters in their respective spheres of influence. The 1st level monsters cannot continue to spread to the rear of Dazhao, that is, the 4th line battlefield area. The purpose of these 1st level monsters is to eat mortals, so wherever they go, mortals suffer heavy casualties. The Yi family rebuilt a fairy city and moved all their blood clansmen into it. However, within the 500-mile radius of the King's Huyi family's responsibility area, there are still a large number of mortals who still need the protection of the Yi family. Chapter 105, Saving Mortals. As for the other 1st level key refining forces, they have already sent their core disciples to Yijia Immortal City. They stayed and held on. Once they face a life or death crisis, they will ask the Yi family for help. There are more than 100 key refining forces in the King's Hui family's territory. Nowadays, the groups of 1st order monster beasts attack mainly mortal towns and villages. All the major key refining forces are protected by 1st level formations, and they can still withstand 1 or 2 for the time being. Build the foundation of the Huang family. Bang. Huang Shu smashed a teacup. Huang Shu was very angry after seeing the ban issued by the Lineage sect. He originally wanted to find a suitable opportunity to unite with several other foundation building family allies, and even united with the Daoting Liu family to kill the newly rising Yi family and divide the opportunity of the Yi family. Unexpectedly, the Lineage sect issued a ban as soon as the tide of monsters started, catching him off guard. HMPH. Yi family, just wait. If You can't do it openly. I will do it secretly. Sooner or later, I will avenge you, Huang. Shu secretly gritted his teeth and said point in the Ye family, except for the first 2 times when there were monster alarms. Ye Changsheng led the fire crows to exterminate them point in the remaining times. Ye Changsheng sent Xiao himself to lead the fire crows to exterminate the first order monster beasts. Ye Changsheng continued to practice at home. 3 months passed like this, and Ye Changsheng's group of fire crows went into battle 7 times. They eliminated the Aoki snake group, the stone-shelled turtle group, the venomous scorpion group, the phantom butterfly group, the golden feather bird group, the water spirit frog group and the sandstone lizard group respectively. Point in these few battles, the 3-legged fire crow group has lost more than 200 members. Most of the casualties were first order low grade fire crows and a dozen first order mid grade fire crows. Needless to say, Xiaohu's combat prowess during the foundation building period, with more and more battle training, Xiaohu became more and more comfortable in commanding the fire crows. The losses are getting less and less in these 3 months. Ye Changsheng gave birth to another foundation building fruit tree, which produced 24 foundation building fruits. This time he prepared it specifically for the 7 3-legged fire crows. After all, the foundation building fruit, as a great spiritual fruit, must not only have an effect on humans, but also have a greater effect on monsters and beasts that advance from the first level to the second level point. And as time went by, more and more of the 3-legged fire crows began to advance, motivated by sufficient meat, spiritual fruits and fighting. Point in 3 months, more than 80 first level low level fire crows have advanced to the first level mid-level point. More than 20 first level middle grade fire crows were purchased at a price that reached first level high grade point. Just when Ye Changsheng was about to officially promote the 7 first level high grade fire crows, clan leader Ye Jialang sent a message to hold a clan meeting point Kingsu Peak, Meeting Hall, everyone. As the tide of monster beasts approaches, the monster beast chaos will only become more and more aging, and many civilians will suffer heavy casualties. Let's discuss how our Ye family should deal with it, the clan leader Ye Jialang said. Yes, according to the statistics of the people below, nearly 100,000 civilians have been killed in the past few months. The towns attacked by monsters are terrible, Ye Dongren said, but there are millions of mortals within our Ye family's sphere of influence. We cannot even accommodate these millions of people into our Ye family's fairy city, even if we can pretend we don't have that much food to feed so many mortals. Ye Jiubeo said, yeah, there's no other way. Everyone was talking about it. Point at this time Ye Changsheng spoke, clan chief, don't we have a plain with a radius of several hundred miles around the Ye family immortal city? There is still a lack of people to cultivate the land, so we might as well put all these millions of civilians there, then build a relatively large town where there are spiritual veins and deploy a first-class high-grade protective formation on the town. The reclaimed land belongs to our Ye family, and these are all tenant farmers. In this way, we can gather the efforts of dozens of towns to support the 200,000 members of the Ye family. These tenant farmers go out to farm when there are no monsters coming, and when the monsters come, they go back to the city to hide. This can be considered a wartime system. The most important thing is that in this basin, it is relatively close to our main peak of the Ye family, so rescue can be convenient. Ye Jialang nodded and said, this method is good, but it costs a lot. I can support the family with 200,000 spirit stones, and the remaining clan leaders can think of a way. Ye Changsheng said, then, thank you Changsheng. The clan leader Ye Jialang stood up and saluted Ye Changsheng. Clan leader, there is no need to thank you. Don't forget that you still have to contribute something to me. Ye Changsheng said. Point hearing this, everyone burst into laughter and the atmosphere became relaxed. However, we can't just give everything. I think we can do something about family reproduction. Ye Jiuhu said while stroking his beard. Please also ask Taishang Jiuhu to explain it carefully. Ye Jialang said, first of all, the Ye family men of the right age in the immortal city must marry many wives. Each of them can marry a woman who is a descendant of the immortal cultivator as his wife, and then marry 5 to 6 mortal women as his wife. The expenses for supporting my wife are borne by the clan. The same goes for the accomplished men in the family. They marry a woman with good spiritual roots as their main wife, and 4 to 5 women with average spiritual roots as their equal wives. The expenses for raising a wife are also borne by the clan. On the Ye family fairy city side, as long as a child is born, they will be rewarded. On the clan side, as long as a child with spiritual roots is born, they will be rewarded. What do you think? Ye Jiu said with great interest. That's right. The monster tide is coming. If there are no more immortal cultivators to supplement, we will lose a few today and a few tomorrow. I'm afraid there won't be many people left in my Ye family when the monster tide ends. I've read a lot of information about the monster tide recently. In the face of the monster tide, there are not many foundation building families and key refining families left. It's really scary. Ye Dongren said. It seems that this policy has to be implemented. Ye Zhelang said with a serious face. That's right. We have to act this way. Yes, that's right. Otherwise, my Ye family might be in danger. Everyone agreed. Okay, since everyone has no objection, let's do it this way. I will order all the disciples to go to various places later to collect mortals and transport them to our Ye family plane. Ye Zhelang is also a straightforward person, so he said point. Everyone agreed, and the meeting ended point. After waiting for everyone to leave, Ye Changsheng cried, Patriarch, our family doesn't have an ark to transport mortals yet. I have a channel, and can buy one. Ye Changsheng said point. The ark is a ship that is specially used to transport mortals, and can transport thousands of people each time. Okay, I'm worried. If we can have an ark, our family will be able to transport mortals faster. Now, the monsters are rampant outside, and it's not safe for the tribesmen to stay outside for a long time. Ye Zhelang said, okay, then leave it to me. Ye Changsheng said point. After Ye Changsheng returned home from Kingsu Peak, he went straight to the retreat room, sat on the altar of the Heavenly Palace, and came to the Heavenly Palace. Chapter 106 Far Crow Advancement. Above the Heavenly Palace, it is as bustling as a city, with a dazzling array of shops. Ye Changsheng walked straight into a shop that specialized in selling spirit boats. In the shop, the shopkeeper saw Ye Changsheng coming in and immediately came up to him and said with a smile, does this fellow Taoist want to buy a spirit boat? Ye Changsheng nodded and said, I need an ark that can carry mortals. The shopkeeper's eyes lit up, and he said quickly, fellow Taoist, please come with me. We have several suitable arks in our store. The shopkeeper led Ye Changsheng to the back of the store, where several huge arks were displayed. The shopkeeper pointed to 3 of them and said, these 3 arks are specially used to carry people. The first one is a first order ark, which can carry 3,000 people and sells for 300 high-grade spiritual stones. The second one is a second level ark, which can carry 5,000 people. It also comes with a protective formation and sells for 500 high-grade spiritual stones. The third ship is a third level ark, which can carry 10,000 people. It is equipped with a more powerful protective formation and sells for 1,000 high-grade spiritual stones. I wonder what the immortal family wants. Ye Changsheng carefully inspected the 3 arks, weighed them again and again, and finally chose the second level ark. He said to the shopkeeper, I want this second ark. It can carry more people, and has a protective formation. It suits my needs. Ye Changsheng nodded, took out 500 high-grade spiritual stones from the storage bag, and handed them to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper took the spirit stone, and said with a smile, fellow Taoist, wait a moment, I will prepare the ark for you. Not long after, the shopkeeper handed the ark to Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction, put away the ark, turned and left the shop. Ye Changsheng did not leave next, because the 7 first level 3-legged far crows at home were about to advance. After the advancement, they would become second level spiritual beasts, and they definitely did not want to be controlled by Zhuo. Ye Changsheng wanted to buy a kind of control restriction between spiritual beasts. He once again stepped into the shop, where he had purchased the confidentiality ban, the spiritual forbidden pavilion. The shopkeeper was still in the shop. When he saw Ye Changsheng coming in, he greeted him with a smile. Master, Ye, do you need anything else? The Shopkeeper asked. Ye Changsheng nodded and said straight to the point, I need a restriction that allows my spiritual beast to control the subordinate spiritual beasts. After hearing this, the shopkeeper thought for a moment, then took out 3 different prohibition scrolls from behind the counter and introduced them respectively. These 3 prohibitions have their own merits. The first one is the Spirit Beast Master and Servant Contract, which is cheaper, but only it can control one subordinate Spirit Beast. The second type is the Spirit Beast Control Talisman, which can control 3 subordinate Spirit Beasts, and is slightly more expensive. The third type is the Supreme Seal of Spiritual Beasts. Although it is the most expensive, it can control subordinate spiritual beasts for life, and the number of controlled ones can reach thousands. Ye Changsheng listened carefully to the shopkeeper's introduction and chose the third spiritual beast Supreme Seal without hesitation. He took out 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones from the storage bag and handed them to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper took the spirit stone and said with a smile, Master Yi really has a unique vision. This spiritual beast Supreme Seal is definitely worth the money. After the transaction was completed, Ye Changsheng carefully put away the spiritual beast Supreme Seal, thanked the shopkeeper, and left the Spirit Forbidden Pavilion. He didn't stay in the Heavenly Palace any longer and left directly, returning to the real world. After returning to Ye's house, Ye Changsheng immediately set off for Kingsu Peak and found Ye Jialong. Chief, this is a 2nd level arc. It can transport 5,000 people at a time. Here are 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones, which is enough to purchase the city defense formations of dozens of fairy towns. Ye Changsheng said. When the tide of monsters and beasts came, Ye Changsheng stopped hiding it and directly gave it to high-grade spiritual stones. Now that the family knew about the opportunities they had, it was not unusual to use high-grade spiritual stones. Okay, I didn't expect you to be so quick. How much contribution should I give you this time? Ye Jialong said, give me 400,000 contribution points, 200,000 for the arc and 200,000 for the spiritual stone. Ye Changsheng said, okay, Changsheng, you have a huge opportunity. Please pay attention to safety when you go out. You are the hope of our Ye family now. Ye Jialong said, okay, I'll pay attention. Ye Changsheng said. The two communicated about family affairs for a while, and then Ye Changsheng left. Ye Changsheng returned to the mountain behind Kinghu Peak, where he raised the 3-legged fire crow. More than 2,000 3-legged fire crows live on 9 tall fire hibiscus trees, and the branches are densely packed with fire crows. As soon as Ye Changsheng stepped into the back mountain, Xiaohuo immediately flew over it, rubbed against Ye Changsheng's shoulder affectionately, and made several happy chirps. Ye Changsheng gently stroked Xiaohuo's feathers and said warmly, Xiaohuo, I have something good for you today. He took out the jade slip of spiritual beast Supreme Seal from his storage bag and handed it to Xiaohuo. Xiaohuo took the jade slip. A glimmer of wisdom flashed in his eyes, and he obviously understood what Ye Changsheng meant. Xiaohuo held the jade slip in his mouth, closed his eyes, and began to absorb the information. After a moment, it opened its eyes flashing with excitement. It lets out a high-pitched chirp, calling to the other fire crows. 7 first-level high-grade fire crows that were about to advance flew down from the tree and landed in front of Ye Changsheng and Xiaohuo. Ye Changsheng looked at the 7 first-order high-grade fire crows in front of him, nodded slightly, indicating that Xiaohuo could start. Xiaohuo flapped his wings gently and flew to the first fire crow. Its eyes shone with wisdom, and a low chirp came from its mouth, as if it was communicating with the fire crow. The fire crow seemed to understand what Xiaohuo meant, and lowered its head obediently, exposing its neck. Xiaohuo opened his mouth, and a small flame spurted out of his beak, quickly forming a complex rune on the neck of the fire crow. The rune flashed red, and then quickly disappeared under the feathers of the fire crow. The fire crow uttered a joyful cry, obviously feeling the increase in power. Next, Xiaohuo flew to the other 6 fire crows in turn and repeated the same action. Each flame rune was planted accurately, and the eyes of the 7 fire crows flashed with excitement, as if looking forward to the upcoming advancement. When the last rune was planted, Xiaohuo flew back to Ye Changsheng's shoulder and gently rubbed his cheek. Ye Changsheng smiled and stroked Xiaohuo's feathers, saying softly, Xiaohuo, you have worked hard. Xiaohuo uttered a joyful cry, as if to say that this was just what it should do. He took out 7 foundation building fruits and handed them to the 7 fire crows respectively. The fire crows took the foundation building fruit and began to eat it. The foundation building fruit melted in their mouths, turning into streams of pure spiritual energy that quickly spread throughout the fire crows' bodies. The fire crows' bodies began to change. Their feathers became brighter red, like burning flames. Their bodies also expanded rapidly, and their bodies, which were originally only the size of a palm, now had the size of a puppy. Chapter 107, Small Fire Advancement. Their 3 claws became sharper and flashed with cold light. As the spiritual power continued to flow in, the aura of the fire crows continued to rise. There was a gleam of wisdom in their eyes, and they had obviously begun to evolve into second level spiritual beasts. However, this process was not smooth. The bodies of the fire crows began to tremble violently, and they were obviously suffering from great pain. Xiaohuo stood aside, with a firm light in his eyes. It made a low cry, as if cheering for the fire crows. The fire crows seemed to be encouraged by Xiaohuo's voice, and began to absorb spiritual power more diligently. As time passed, the bodies of the fire crows gradually stabilized. Their aura also became stronger, and they had obviously successfully advanced to the second level. However, not all fire crows succeeded. Among the 7 fire crows, 3 failed in the process of advancement. Their bodies gradually became stiff and finally fell to the ground and lost their lives. Ye Changsheng looked at the 3 fire crows with some regrets in his heart. However, he also knew that the spiritual beast's advancement process was full of risks, and the success rate was already good. He turned his head to look at the remaining 4 fire crows. They had successfully advanced to the second level, and their bodies exuded a strong aura. However, when these 4 second level fire crows saw Xiaohuo at the beginning, they no longer listened to orders. There was an unyielding light in their eyes, and they were obviously unwilling to submit to Xiaohuo again. Seeing this, Xiaohuo flashed a cold light in his eyes. It activated the restriction of the spiritual beast supreme seal, and the 4 second level fire crows immediately fell to the ground in pain, wailing miserably. Xiaohuo's eyes flashed with a firm light, and it continued to activate the restriction without any hesitation. The 4 second level fire crows struggled painfully on the ground, and the unyielding in their eyes was gradually replaced by fear. They finally understood that Xiaohuo's power was far above them, and they could not compete at all. In the end, they lowered their proud heads and surrendered to Xiaohuo. Seeing this, Xiaohuo retracted the restriction. It chirped with satisfaction and was obviously very satisfied with the result. Ye Changsheng looked at this scene and felt relieved. Ye Changsheng gently stroked Xiaohuo's feathers and said in a warm voice, Xiaohuo, I have something good for you too. After saying that, Ye Changsheng took out a Shineling fruit. Shineling fruit is a 3rd grade high quality spiritual fruit that can improve the cultivation qualifications of the 2nd grade spiritual upgrade. It is of course also useful for Xiaohuo. When Xiaohuo saw the Shineling fruit in Ye Changsheng's hand, his eyes flashed with excitement that could not be concealed. It chirped with joy, as if the throbbing deep in its blood was telling it that this Shineling fruit would be of great help to its promotion and bloodline improvement. Ye Changsheng smiled and handed the Shineling fruit to Xiaohuo, who opened his mouth without hesitation and swallowed the Shineling fruit in one mouthful. The Shineling fruit melted in its mouth, turning into streams of pure spiritual power that quickly spread in Xiaohuo's body. Xiaohuo's body began to undergo drastic changes. Its feathers gradually became brighter red, like a burning flame, emitting a dazzling light. Each feather became tougher and sharper in the process of absorbing spiritual power, as if it could cut everything. Its body was also expanding rapidly. It was originally only the size of a kitten, but now it has the size of an adult hound. Its 3 claws became sharper, flashing with cold light, as if it could easily tear steel. With the continuous influx of spiritual power, Xiaohuo's breath was also rising. Its eyes flashed with wisdom, and it had obviously begun to evolve into a 2nd level medium grade spiritual beast. However, this process was not smooth. Xiaohuo's body began to tremble violently, obviously suffering great pain. Ye Changsheng looked at this scene and felt a little nervous. He knew that the advancement process of spiritual beasts was full of dangers, and a little carelessness could lead to failure or even death. However, he also knew that this was the only way for Xiaohou to become stronger. Xiaohou's body seemed to be torn apart under the impact of spiritual power. Its feathers began to fall off, and new feathers grew out quickly, becoming brighter red and tougher. Its body shape is also constantly changing, and its muscles and bones are rapidly reorganized under the action of spiritual power, becoming stronger and more powerful. Xiaohou's eyes flashed with a determined light, and it continued to absorb the spiritual power of the Xianling fruit without any hesitation. Its body continued to transform in pain. Gradually adapting to the impact of spiritual power, its breath also became more vigorous, and it had obviously successfully advanced to the second level middle grade. Xiaohou's body gradually stabilized, and its feathers grew again, becoming more bright red and dazzling. Its body shape also became more majestic, like a phoenix in flames. Its 3 claws flashed with cold light, appearing sharper and more deadly. Xiaohou made a high-pitched cry, as if announcing its successful transformation. Its eyes flashed with the light of wisdom and power, and it had obviously become a powerful second-level middle-grade spiritual beast. Ye Changsheng looked at this scene, and his heart was filled with relief and pride. He gently stroked Xiaohou's feathers, and said in a warm voice, "Xiaohou, you did a good job." Xiaohou made a pleasant cry, obviously very satisfied with Ye Changsheng's praise. Its body exudes a powerful aura, like a true king of fire. Time flies, and half a year has passed in the blink of an eye. During the past 6 months, Xiaohou led the fire crows to attack almost every month, hunting down the first level monsters that roamed within the Ye family's sphere of influence. With 5 second level monsters, each killing of the monsters went smoothly. After each victory, Ye Changsheng rewarded all the fire crows with second level fire mulberries. Therefore, every time they went out, the fire crows were full of vigor. They are also intelligent creatures, knowing that every expedition would bring huge benefits. After half a year of feeding second level fire mulberries, more than 500 first level low grade fire crows advanced to the first level middle grade realm. More than 200 first level middle grade fire crows advanced to the first level upper grade realm. As for the first level upper grade fire crows, 42 of them were facing a breakthrough. But in order to increase the success rate of advancement, Ye Changsheng did not feed them the foundation building fruit immediately. Without the foundation building fruit, it would be difficult for them to break through to the second level realm on their own. Now Ye Changsheng's group of fire crows has a total of 347 first grade high quality fire crows, 708 first grade middle quality fire crows, 966 first grade low quality fire crows. What surprised Ye Changsheng even more was that more than 200 fire crows laid eggs, and it is estimated that these eggs will hatch more than 200 first grade low quality fire crows. In this way, Ye Changsheng can replenish at least more than 200 first grade low quality fire crows every year. Good news came from my mother Cui Linglong, who is about to build a foundation. A few months ago, my grandparents successfully built their foundation with the help of the top grade foundation building pill, and became the 2 supreme elders of the Cui family. Chapter 108 Mother 039's foundation building. This good news seemed to untie the knot in my mother's heart, and she went into seclusion for several months. Now she is finally taking this crucial step. After learning about this, his grandfather Ye Jiu, who gave Cui Linglong all the San King Xiang, marigold tea, 3 treasures, spiritual liquid and wisdom futon from the family treasure house in Qinghu Peak. Mother took these treasures and entered the second level spiritual land on Qinghu Peak, where Ye Changsheng personally protected the law. Ye Changsheng stood outside the spiritual place, staring closely at the area, enveloped by the rich spiritual energy, feeling both expectant and nervous. As time passed, the spiritual energy in the spiritual land began to fluctuate violently, as if a powerful force was brewing. Suddenly, the sky was covered with dark clouds and there was lightning and thunder, as if the whole world was witnessing Cui Linglong's foundation building. Ye Changsheng knew that this was a necessary vision during the foundation building process. The moment the thunder and lightning struck, a dazzling light burst out from the spiritual land, As if there was an invisible force resisting the catastrophe. The light gradually stabilized, the thunder and lightning gradually dissipated, and the sky returned to calm. Then, bursts of spiritual energy fluctuations came from the spiritual land, and countless spiritual energy gathered towards Cui Linglang. A rainbow-like light appeared over the spiritual land, as if heaven and earth were celebrating Cui Linglang's success finally. A clear bell sounded from the spiritual land, announcing the success of Cui Linglang's foundation building. Ye Changsheng was filled with excitement as he watched his mother slowly walk out of the spiritual place. Although her face looked tired, it was more filled with joy and satisfaction. Ye Changsheng quickly stepped forward to support his mother and said excitedly, "Congratulations, mother, you have successfully built a foundation." Cui Linglang smiled and nodded, her eyes full of love and relief. She gently patted Ye Changsheng on the shoulder and said, "Thank you, Changsheng. Without you, my mother wouldn't be able to reach this point." Ye Changsheng smiled and shook his head. "Mom, what you said is a big deal. Do we still need to be so polite?" Cui Linglang pinched her son's cheek gently, her eyes full of love. "I'm not happy. Changsheng, do you know? Watching you grow up day by day and become such an outstanding monk, my heart is sweeter than honey. That's natural. Who gave you such an outstanding son?" Ye Changsheng deliberately puffed up his chest, making Cui Linglang laugh. "You brat, you are becoming more and more talkative." Cui Linglang pretended to be angry and glared at her son, then she couldn't help but laugh. "Okay, let's go back. Mom needs to have a good rest. This foundation building has taken a lot of energy." After a while, the two people entered the secret room. "Mom, this is the spiritual fruit you need to take at the beginning of your foundation building period, the Zuanian fruit. Its effect on increasing your cultivation is far greater than ordinary pills." After Ye Changsheng finished speaking, he took out a jade box containing 12 Zuanian fruits. Cui Linglang took the jade box and opened it gently, and a strong spiritual energy suddenly hit her face. She looked at her son in surprise. "Changsheng, this Zuanian fruit is a rare treasure. Where did you get so many of them?" Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Mom, don't ask so many questions. These are prepared for you. Just take them with peace of mind." Cui Linglang nodded morbidly. "Mom is so lucky to have such a good son like you. Mom, I have a treasure here for you, but you must not tell anyone." Ye Changsheng said mysteriously. "Oh, any other treasures?" Cui Linglang asked curiously. Ye Changsheng took out a crystal clear fruit from his storage bag and handed it to his mother. "This is a third level high grade Shinling fruit, a treasure that can enhance the spiritual root qualifications of foundation building monks." When Cui Linglang heard this, her eyes suddenly widened, and her surprise was beyond words. "Shinling fruit? That is a rare treasure. My good son, where did you get it?" Ye Changsheng smiled mysteriously. "Mom, don't ask. I got it by chance anyway. Please accept it quickly. This is specially prepared for you." Cui Linglang carefully took the Shinling fruit and looked at it carefully. I saw that the fruit was crystal clear, exuding a faint spiritual light, and the spiritual energy flowing in it could be vaguely seen. She couldn't help but sigh. "What a gift from heaven. With it, my cultivation will definitely reach a higher level." Ye Changsheng looked at his mother's happy expression, and his heart was filled with warmth. "Mom, please take it quickly. I will protect you." Cui Linglang nodded slightly. A touch and relief flashed in her eyes. She said softly, "Changsheng, my mother is so lucky to have a son like you. Don't worry, I will definitely cherish this gift and make good use of it." "Mom, don't be too happy. I have something more valuable to give you," Ye Changsheng said, taking out another jade slip from the storage bag. "Mom, this is the 4th level skill Purple Mansion Immortality Sutra that I obtained before. Grandpa and I practice this skill, so you must keep it secret." When Cui Linglang heard this, she was shocked and speechless. She took the jade slip tremblingly, her eyes shining with disbelief. "Level 4 Kung Fu. Changsheng, where did you get it? This is a treasure that even most Zifu families don't have." Ye Changsheng smiled and shook his head. "Mother, I can't tell you this secret yet. But don't worry, this technique is absolutely safe and has extraordinary effects. Grandpa and I both feel that we have benefited a lot after practicing it. CUI. Linglan took a deep breath and tried to calm down her excitement. She carefully looked at the jade slip in her hand, feeling the powerful power contained in it. Changsheng, you really gave mother a great surprise. With this technique and the heavenly spirit fruit, my cultivation will surely advance by leaps and bounds, she said with emotion. Thank you, Changsheng. Ye Changsheng nodded and patted his mother's shoulder gently. Mom, just take care of yourself. I will continue to work hard. The mother and son smiled at each other, their eyes full of warmth and expectation. After settling his mother's cultivation, Ye Changsheng came to the Ye family's second level fairy city on the back mountain of Kingsu Peak, ready to check the construction progress of the surrounding first level fairy towns. Ye Changsheng came to the Ye family's second level fairy city, standing on the towering walls of the fairy city. Ye Changsheng overlooked the vast plain point in the distance. Dozens of first level fairy towns were scattered all over the plain, forming a huge defense network centered on the second level fairy city point in the sun. These fairy towns flashed with spiritual light, like pearls inlaid on the emerald plain. The construction progresses faster than expected. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction. In order to build these first level immortal towns and arrange the corresponding first level superior formations, he has donated 200,000 spirit stones to the clan. Seeing the results in front of him, Ye Changsheng felt that this investment was worthwhile. At this time, a middle-aged cultivator in a green shirt walked over quickly and saluted respectfully, saying, "Meet the Supreme Elder." "No need to be polite." Ye Changsheng waved his hand. "Manager Li, how is the construction of the Immortal City and Immortal Town? Give me a detailed report." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Uncle builds foundation. Manager Li replied respectfully, "To inform the Supreme Elder, we have completed the main construction of 23 first level fairy towns, 15 of which have begun operation. Each fairy town has established a spiritual structure in accordance with the family's plan. At the same time, we are actively recruiting monks and mortals to enrich the population of Fairy Town." Ye Changsheng nodded in approval and asked, "What about the defense system?" "We haven't slacked off in this regard either," Manager Li continued to report. "Each fairy town has deployed multiple defensive formations, including the first order high-grade formations funded by the Supreme Elder. These formations can not only resist attacks by monsters, but also link with the main city in emergencies, forming a large defense network." "Very good," Ye Changsheng praised. "So how is the development of resources?" Manager Li replied, "We have opened up a large number of spiritual fields around various fairy towns and planted various spiritual plants. At the same time, we have also discovered several spiritual veins and are planning to cultivate them into spiritual fields. In addition, we have also planted spiritual plants on the plains. Multiple pastures have been established to raise spiritual animals to ensure diversified supplies of materials for Fairy City and Fairy Town." Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction and then warned, "Remember, you must treat every tribesman and tenant farmer well. They are the foundation of our Ye family. Only if they live and work in peace and contentment and continue to reproduce can our Ye family prosper forever." "Yes, Supreme Elder." Manager Li responded solemnly. Looking at the huge fairy city system that was taking shape in front of him, Ye Changsheng was in a good mood. Ye Changsheng continued to ask, "Manager Li, what is the situation about population migration? How is the transportation effect of the second order arc we obtained before?" Manager Li immediately replied, reporting to the Supreme Elder, "With the second level arc that can transport 5,000 mortals at a time, our relocation work is progressing smoothly. According to the principle of voluntariness, currently, we have moved from several places within the original Ye family's sphere of influence. Out of 1 million mortals, about 1.2 million people were successfully moved to this plane." Ye Changsheng nodded to express satisfaction, and then asked, "So, how are the resettlement conditions of these relocated mortals, manager?" Li continued to report, "Most of these mortals have been placed in various first-order fairy towns. We have provided them with basic living security, and arranged for them to work in spiritual fields, pastures and other places. At the same time, we are also actively cultivating them. I hope more people can awaken their spiritual roots and become monks." Ye Changsheng asked thoughtfully, "So, how many mortal women have married into the second level fairy city and become the daughters-in-law of my Ye family members, manager?" Li replied, "According to the latest statistics, about 30,000 mortal women have married into the second level fairy city and become the wives of ordinary members of the Ye family." Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction and said, "Very good. Continue to encourage this kind of marriage. We want every member of the Ye family to find enough wives, and we want enough new members of the new family. With more new people, the Ye family can cultivate immortals. Only then will the number of people catch up. This matter is very important. It is related to the long-term prosperity of my Ye family. Don't be careless at all." "Yes, I will definitely try my best to handle this matter." Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction, and then rewarded him with 100 spirit stones. "Do a good job. I'm leaving first." After Ye Changsheng finished speaking, he flew away on the flying boat. "Thank you, Supreme Elder, for the reward, manager." Li looked at Ye Changsheng's back and was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect such a big gain point as an in-law of the Ye family. He is quite popular in the Ye family because he is good at formations, but the monthly salary is generally 20 spirit stones. This time the reward is equivalent to 5 months salary. I heard that the rapid rise of the Ye family had a lot to do with the Supreme Elder, and now I see him spending so generously. Manager Li couldn't help but think that this was the number one member of the Ye family. Time flies like water, and another month has passed. There is also good news from Uncle Ye Xianayu. He is also going to build a foundation. Ye Changsheng was sitting quietly practicing in his cave when he suddenly felt a wave of spiritual energy not far away. He slowly opened his eyes and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. It seems that Uncle has successfully established the foundation. Ye Changsheng thought to himself, with a look of relief on his face. He stood up and walked out of the cave, walking slowly in the direction of the wave. Soon, he came to the place where his uncle Ye Xianayu was retreating. At this time, grandfather Ye Jiu, who was already protecting his uncle Ye Xianayu. I saw a faint golden light shrouding Ye Xianayu's retreat place, and there was a faint rainbow-like light shining in the sky. Ye Changsheng stood not far away, waiting quietly. After a while, the golden light dissipated, and Ye Xianayu walked out of the retreat. "Congratulations to Uncle for successfully building the foundation." Ye Changsheng stepped forward and cupped his hands to congratulate him. His tone was calm and sincere. "Thanks to the foundation building resources you gave me. Otherwise I don't know when I would have to wait to take this step." Ye Xianayu said, "Uncle, you deserve the award. This is what you deserve." Ye Changsheng responded humbly, "Your success in building the foundation is another great help to our Ye family." "Ahem, Xianayu, you finally established the foundation. Not bad, not bad, Grandpa." Ye Jiu, who said at this time, "Uncle, you have just established the foundation. Grandpa must have something to tell you. You guys can chat first. I have to feed the 3-legged fire crow." Ye Changsheng said. Ye Changsheng had sent the last Shinling fruit to his grandfather Ye Xianayu, who had just taken the 3 treasure spiritual liquid and broke through to the second level of foundation building. Should not have a solid foundation for cultivation now. After taking the heavenly spiritual fruit, his second level of foundation building should be stabilized quickly, and his spiritual root qualification can be improved to between 2 and 3 spiritual roots. However, his uncle Ye Xianayu did not have the Zuanian fruit for the early stage of foundation building. Ye Changsheng calculated that he had accumulated 13 drops of second level fairy dew, and this time he would promote the growth of more Zuanian fruit trees. After Ye Changsheng returned to the retreat room, he entered the true dragon fairy tree space with a thought. Ye Changsheng took out 3 Zuanian fruit cores and placed them on the spiritual soil. After dripping 3 drops of second level fairy dew into each, the 3 neon fruit cores quickly sprouted and grew. Ye Changsheng skillfully controlled the fairy dew to nourish the fruit trees, and soon the 3 neon fruit trees were lush and full of fruits. Ye Changsheng looked at the scene in front of him with satisfaction. 24 plump neon fruits hung on the branches, exuding a rich spiritual energy. The surface of the fruit glowed with a faint golden light, as if it contained infinite vitality. The breeze blew, and the fruit swayed gently, making a pleasant collision sound. Ye Changsheng carefully put a total of 72 neon fruits from the 3 trees into the jade box. Because another drop of 3rd level fairy dew accumulated in the fairy tree space. Ye Changsheng still chose to give birth to the Xianling fruit this time, took out a Xianling fruit core, and prepared it according to the same method. After a while, a new 3rd level top grade Xianling fruit tree quickly grew out, and it was full of 12 ripe fruits. Chapter 110 Jade Bloluan. Ye Changsheng carefully placed the 12 heavenly spirit fruits into a jade box. After completing the task of spawning the spiritual fruit, Ye Changsheng flashed out of the fairy tree space with a thought. Ye Changsheng came to the family treasure house on the mountain behind Kinghu Peak, opened the door of the treasure house with a token, and placed the jade box containing 72 neon fruits on a shelf like spiritual fruits. After coming out, Ye Changsheng used the token to seal the treasure house door. These are mainly for Grandpa Ye Jiuhu to hand over the neon fruit to Uncle Ye Xianyu and Grandpa themselves according to the customization. Others, such as Mother Cui Linglang and the 3 daughters Luan, can be given away by themselves. Ye Changsheng still has few relatives, so he is more casual now. If he has more descendants, he will also come to the family treasure house to receive customized supplies for cultivating immortals. After Ye Changsheng finished doing this, he returned to the retreat room. I sat on the altar of the heavenly palace and came to the heavenly palace. Ye Changsheng came here this time mainly for his mother's magical weapons and protective spiritual beasts. After establishing the foundation, the first choice is to purchase magic weapons. Ye Changsheng walked into a magical artifact shop called Xianbei Pavilion. The store displayed a dazzling array of various magical artifacts. An old man with a kind face came forward to greet him. He was the shopkeeper. Ye Changsheng got straight to the point. I have a female relative who has just established a foundation. I want to buy a set of 2nd level low grade magic tools for her. It is best to have a complete set and high quality. The shopkeeper's eyes lit up, and he said with a smile, young master has a good vision. I happen to have a set of Xixa fairy set here, which is specially made for female cultivators in the early stage of foundation building. It is of high quality. He then took out several magic weapons and introduced them one by one. This purple cloud sword has a sword body made of 1000-year-old cold iron. The blade is extremely sharp and can easily cut through ordinary magic weapons. After injecting spiritual power, the sword body will glow with purple light, making it even more powerful. This purple cloud shield is made from dozens of rare materials. Not only does it have strong defense, it can also absorb some attacks and turn it into your own use. This Liuxia skirt is woven from sky silk. It is light and comfortable, and has good defensive power. What's even better is that after wearing it, it can increase the speed of cultivation. After wearing these cloud walking boots, you can walk in the wind as fast as lightning, and can also enhance the strength of your legs. The last one is this Xixa flying boat. Although it is small in size, it is not slow and can conceal its aura, making it suitable for long distance travel. Ye Changsheng looked at each magic weapon carefully and nodded with satisfaction. Yes, this set of magic tools is indeed excellent. What's the price? The shopkeeper smiled and said, young master has good eyesight. This purple cloud fairy set is a high quality product among the 2nd order low grade products. The original price is 500 high grade spiritual stones. Since this is your first time, I will give you a discount price. How about 450 high grade spiritual stones? Ye Changsheng thought for a moment, then nodded. Deal. In this way, Ye Changsheng bought this 2nd level low quality set for a price of 1200 high grade spiritual stones, adding a guarantee to his mother's cultivation path. After buying the magic weapon, Ye Changsheng went to the True Dragon Pavilion in the penultimate ring of the Heavenly Palace. hoping to equip his mother and uncle with a spiritual beast each. Ye Changsheng stepped into the true dragon pavilion, and the person who received him was the ancestor of the Z mansion last time. Senior, I want to buy a second order high grade flying monster for a female foundation building monk, mainly for body protection. What do you recommend? Ye Changsheng said. Point after hearing this, the ancestor of Zifu thought for a moment and said, since it is prepared for female monks, I have 3 more suitable choices here. As he waved his hand, the shadows of 3 monster beasts appeared in the air. The first is the colorful neon phoenix. Its feathers are gorgeous and colorful, and it looks like a rainbow crossing the sky when it flies. It is not only beautiful, but it is also good at illusions, and can confuse the enemy. A colorful phoenix silhouette gracefully hovers in the air, emitting a charming light. The second is the moonlight flying fox. Its hair is like silver, which makes it even more mysterious under the moonlight. It is extremely fast, and is good at hiding. It is an excellent choice for body protection. A silver white fox silhouette danced lightly, as if it could disappear into the moonlight at any time. Finally, there is the jasper kingluan, which is as green as jade. It is not only beautiful and elegant, but also has the ability to heal. What is even more valuable is that it has a trace of the blood of the phoenix. Although its flying speed is not as fast as the first 2, it can help its master in critical moments. Treat the injury. A green bad silhouette slowly spreads its wings, and its whole body emits a soft green light. Ye Changsheng looked at these 3 flying monsters carefully. Each one had its own unique characteristics, and they were indeed suitable for female monks. After thinking for a moment, he asked, what are the prices of these 3 monsters? The ancestor of Zifu replied, 8,000 high-grade spiritual stones for the colorful neon phoenix, 7,500 high-grade spiritual stones for the moonlight flying fox, and 9,000 high-grade spiritual stones for the jasper blue luan. Ye Changsheng thought for a while and finally decided, then choose jasper kingluan. Although it is slightly slower, the healing ability is more important to the mother. The ancestor of the Z mansion nodded in approval. My dear friend, you have thought carefully about it. This jasper kingluan is indeed the best choice. After delivering 9,000 high-grade spiritual stones, Ye Changsheng continued, Senior, I also want to buy a second-grade low-grade flying monster for a male foundation building monk. It is mainly used for hiding. It is best to have a slightly more ferocious character. The ancestor of the Z mansion smiled and said, this is simple. I have a thunder eagle here, which is suitable for male monks to ride. It has a strong character, flies extremely fast, and can control some thunder and lightning power. The price is 1,000 high-grade spiritual stone. Ye Changsheng thought it was very suitable, and agreed to buy it immediately. In this way, Ye Changsheng spent a total of 10,000 high-grade spirit stones to buy a satisfactory monster for his mother and uncle. After completing the purchase, Ye Changsheng said goodbye to the purple mansion patriarch with satisfaction. Ye Changsheng walked into a shop specializing in spirit beast supplies and asked the shopkeeper, excuse me, is there anything suitable for fire type birds and beasts in the middle stage of foundation building to eat and improve their cultivation? The shopkeeper thought for a moment and then recommended several items. Sir, I have 3 options here. One is the fire spirit pill specially made for fire type monsters. One is a special spirit grass called red flame grass, and the other is a second level middle grade spirit fruit, fire yuan fruit. This fire yuan fruit has the best effect on improving the cultivation of fire type monsters. After careful consideration, Ye Changsheng decided, then give me a fire yuan fruit. Okay, 1 fire yuan fruit is 500 high grade spirit stones. The shopkeeper said with a smile. Ye Changsheng happily paid the spirit stone, got the fire element fruit, and left the heavenly palace, and returned to the real world. After returning to the real world, Ye Changsheng was not idle. He immediately thought, and entered the fairy tree space. He took out the core of the fire element fruit and carefully dripped a drop of second level fairy dew into it. Chapter 111 Fire Crow advances again. In a flash, a 4-meter high fire element fruit tree sprang up from the ground, with luxuriant branches and leaves. Ye Changsheng carefully counted, and found that there were a total of 48 red fruits on the tree, each of which was plump and tempting. Ye Changsheng carefully picked these fruits, and put them into a jade box one by one. Ye Changsheng looked at the fire element fruit in the jade box with satisfaction, and then took out the cores of 9 foundation building fruits. He repeated the previous steps and carefully dripped a drop of second level fairy dew into each core point in the blink of an eye. 9 foundation building fruit trees sprang up from the ground. Each tree was more than 2 meters high and luxuriant. Ye Changsheng carefully observed these new fruit trees and found that each tree was full of fruits with glittering spiritual light. He patiently counted and confirmed that each foundation building fruit tree had 24 fruits, each of which was round and plump, exuding an attractive luster. Ye Changsheng carefully picked these foundation building fruits and put them into 9 jade boxes respectively. Including the 5 foundation building fruits left before, Ye Changsheng now has a total of 233 foundation building fruits. After completing all this, he left the fairy tree space with a thought point. After leaving the fairy tree space, Ye Changsheng immediately set off for the back mountain of Kinghu Peak. There is the habitat of the 3-legged fire crows, and Xiaoho lives on the fire hibiscus tree there. After arriving at the destination, Ye Changsheng called softly, "Xiaoho, come down." Hearing the voice of its master, or 3-legged fire crow as big as an adult dog, flew down from the tree and landed on Ye Changsheng's shoulder. Ye Changsheng smiled and took out a fire element fruit from the jade box and handed it to Xiaoho. When Xiaoho saw the fire element fruit, he was immediately excited and his eyes flashed with desire. It couldn't wait to take the fruit from Ye Changsheng's hand and swallowed it in 2 or 3 bites. After eating the fire yuan fruit, Xiaoho's changes were visible to the naked eye. Its feathers became brighter and the fiery red color became more intense. Not only that, its overall aura was also significantly enhanced, like a ball of leaping flames. Ye Changsheng looked at Xiaoho's changes with satisfaction and reached out to stroke its feathers. Xiaoho seemed to feel the love of his master and became more intimate, constantly rubbing his head against Ye Changsheng's palm. Ye Changsheng looked at Xiaoho's changes with satisfaction and whispered, "Xiaoho, go and call down the 42 fire crows that are about to break through." Xiaoho nodded knowingly, flapped his wings and flew high, making a crisp cry. Soon, 42 slightly larger fire crows flew down from the tree and lined up neatly in front of Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng smiled and looked at Xiaoho, motioning it to start. Xiaoho immediately understood and flew to the first fire crow. There was a gleam of wisdom in its eyes, and it opened its mouth gently, and a small flame spurted out of its beak, forming a complex rune on the fire crow's neck. This process was repeated 42 times, and each fire crow obediently accepted this mysterious ceremony. After completing the forbidden planting, Ye Changsheng took out 42 foundation building fruits from the storage bag and distributed them to each fire crow. The fire crows couldn't wait to swallow the fruits, then closed their eyes and began the process of breakthrough. The air was filled with rich spiritual power fluctuations, and the bodies of the fire crows began to glow and heat up. Ye Changsheng and Xiaoho quietly observed the process, looking forward to the results. The breakthrough lasted for about an hour. When the spiritual power fluctuations subsided, Ye Changsheng opened his eyes and saw a delightful scene. 27 fire crows successfully broke through to the early second stage. Their feathers were more colorful and their bodies were significantly larger. However, 15 fire crows unfortunately died during the breakthrough process, which made Ye Changsheng feel a little regretful. Just as Ye Changsheng was immersed in joy, he suddenly found that several newly promoted second stage fire crows had a challenging light in their eyes, as if they wanted to challenge Xiaoho's king status. Xiaoho noticed this and immediately showed his powerful aura of the middle stage of foundation building. At the same time, a sharp light flashed in its eyes, and the restriction planted just now took effect immediately. The few fire crows that were ready to move immediately became docile and lowered their heads to show submission. Ye Changsheng watched this scene with satisfaction, stroked Xiaoho's feathers, and praised, "Well done, Xiaoho." After this breakthrough, Ye Changsheng's fire crow core has greatly increased in strength. Now he has 31 early second stage 3-legged fire crows, plus Xiaoho, the king of the middle stage of the second stage, a total of 32 second stage fire crows, 300 first stage upper grade fire crows, 708 First stage middle grade fire crows 960. First stage lower grade fire crows. Looking at this powerful fire crow army in front of him, Ye Changsheng's heart was full of expectations. Ye Changsheng fed these fire crows thousands of second stage fire mulberries, and then went to retreat point in the blink of an eye. Another half a year has passed. Ye Changsheng, who had just come out of seclusion, was drinking tea leisurely. Li Qian came to the door crying, "My husband, the Li family was surrounded by monsters and is in danger. The Li family sent me a communication jade talisman and wanted you to help them out." Ye Changsheng pulled Li Qian and hugged her in his arms. "Silly, why are you crying? Aren't my father-in-law and his family practicing safely in our Qinghu Peak? As for the Li family, they are just besieged by a group of key refining monsters. I will go out and take my group of fire crows to destroy them. I guarantee that the Li family will be safe. What do you think?" Ye Changsheng comforted. "Yes, Qian believes in my husband. Thank you, my husband." Li Qian looked at Ye Changsheng with emotion and said, "Okay, you and I are husband and wife, so why should we thank each other?" Ye Changsheng said. After Ye Changsheng held Li Qian in his arms and comforted her for a while, he went to the back mountain to collect the group of fire crows into the monster bag and set off. The Li family, where Li Qian was located, was about 400 miles away from the Qingsu Yi family. The Li family was managed by the foundation building Zhang family, but the Zhang family was a newly promoted foundation building family with only one foundation building cultivator in the family. Facing the surging monster tide, they could not take care of the key refining family below. So, when the Li family was surrounded, they could only ask Ye Changsheng for help. Ye Changsheng drove the flying boat to the Li family at lightning speed. Ye Changsheng drove the flying boat and rushed to the Li family. From a distance, he saw the Li family's formation flashing and shaky. He was startled, looked closely, and immediately took a breath of cold air. This is not a group of monsters. It is clearly 5 groups of monsters besieging the Li family. I saw 5 kinds of monsters: the nether snake, the purple lightning bat, the black iron rat, the bronze bull, and the silver rabbit, densely surrounding the Li family. The number was shocking. A rough estimate is that there are at least 3,000 of them. The Li family's formation is already in danger and may collapse at any time. Ye Changsheng did not dare to delay and immediately sacrificed the monster bag and released the entire group of 3-legged fire crows in an instant. The sky was covered with fiery red and nearly 2,000 3-legged fire crows roared out, including 4 larger second stage early fire crows and Ye Changsheng's pet Xianoho. Chapter 112 Yellow Tree. Go. Ye Changsheng gave an order. The fire crows poured down like a sea of fire, instantly covering the battlefield. They spit flames from their mouths, and their sharp claws tore the monsters into pieces. The nether snake hissed and screamed from being burned. The purple lightning bat fell with its wings on fire. The black iron rat was torn to pieces by the claws of the fire crows. The bronze ox was thick-skinned, but could not withstand the scorching flames, and the silver rabbit was burned to a charred. Further 5 monster groups were defeated step by step, with countless casualties. Wherever the 3-legged fire crows went, there was a sea of fire, and monsters fell in groups. Just when Ye Changsheng thought he had won, 5 powerful auras suddenly rose into the sky. Not, but, Ye Changsheng's face changed. 5 huge monsters rushed out of the herd, and they were the kings of the 5 monster groups, all of whom had reached the 2nd level. So, that's how it is. These monsters had planned this long ago and are ready to surround and attack the reinforcement. Ye Changsheng's eyes were sharp. However, even if you are well prepared, you will not succeed today. Ye Changsheng's eyes were sharp, and a flash of light appeared in his hand. 12 Zhuanggang swords appeared out of thin air. He pinched his hands together and activated the 12 Zhuanggang swords. The sword light was like a rainbow, sweeping towards the bronze bull king and the nether snake king. The bronze bull king roared, and its huge horns rushed towards Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng dodged this fatal blow, and 3 sword lights slashed at the bull king's hind legs at the same time. The bull king felt pain and turned around to shake his tail, but Ye Changsheng caught the floor and stabbed him in the abdomen with several swords. Seeing this, the nether snake king opened his mouth and sprayed a black mist. Ye Changsheng held his breath, and the sword light protected his whole body like a shield. The snake king took the opportunity to sweep his tail, and Ye Changsheng leaped up, and the sword light fell like rain, leaving blood marks on the Snake King. The battle lasted for half an hour, and Ye Changsheng and the two Demon Kings were in a stalemate at this moment. A black shadow suddenly attacked from the side. Ye Changsheng's heart trembled, and he used the wild wind footwork in the purple mansion Changsheng Sutra to avoid it. However, the Nether Snake King seized the opportunity and hit Ye Changsheng's back with his tail. Ye Changsheng groaned, and was slightly injured. Who are you? How dare you collude with the demon beast? Ye Changsheng glared at the man in black. The man in black sneered, you are going to die soon, why do you care so much? Ye Changsheng chuckled, really? Ye Changsheng slapped the demon beast bag, and 10 second level 3-legged fire crows fell to the ground like lightning. Xiaoho made a sharp cry, and 10 fire crows immediately flapped their wings, and flew up to join the battle. The masked man's face suddenly changed, and he was shocked. Why do you have so many second level fire crows again? Ye Changsheng smiled indifferently and said coldly, surprised? These hidden fire crows are prepared for you. After that, Xiaoho called again, and all the fire crows began to quickly arrange the formation. The fire crows circled in the air, forming a huge ring of flames, surrounding the 5 monster kings. In the center the flames were radiant, and the hot breath was suffocating. Fire dragon formation, start. Ye Changsheng gave an order. The fire crows began to rotate, the flames gushed, and the fire dragons filled the air. The flames seemed to have life, turning into countless fire dragons, roaring and rushing towards the monster kings and the masked man. The 5 monster kings fought hard, but under the fierce attack of the fire dragons, they gradually couldn't hold on. The bronze bull king roared, and his huge body was swallowed by the flames, and finally turned into ashes in the sea of fire. The Nether Snake King struggled desperately, but the fire dragon followed him like a shadow, tightly wrapped around him, and finally died in severe pain. The purple lightning bat king, the black iron rat king, and the silver light rabbit king were also defeated by the fire dragon one after another, and were severely injured and turned into a scorched earth. The masked man saw that the situation was not good and tried to escape. Ye Changsheng was quick-witted, and used his flying sword to take his head. The masked man saw that the situation was not good, and a trace of panic flashed in his eyes. He turned around quickly, and tried to escape. Ye Changsheng was quick-witted, and used his flying sword without hesitation. The flying sword flashed coldly in the moonlight, and took the masked man's head. The masked man felt the murderous aura behind him, and suddenly turned sideways. The flying sword brushed his shoulder, and brought a blood flower. He gritted his teeth, and endured the pain, and continued to run forward without stopping. However, would Ye Changsheng let him go easily? He formed seals with his hands and muttered something. The flying sword circled in the air, and attacked the masked man again. Seeing this, the masked man jumped up, and turned over to avoid it. Suddenly, a short knife appeared in his hand, and the knife flashed and rushed towards the flying sword. The tip collided in the air, making a crisp clang sound and sparks flying. The masked man retreated with the force, and staggered when he landed. It was obvious that he had suffered serious internal injuries. Ye Changsheng sneered, and his figure was like lightning, approaching the masked man in an instant. He waved the long sword in his hand, and the sword energy was crisscrossed, forcing the masked man to retreat again and again. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in the masked man's eyes, and suddenly exerted force, and the short knife drew a sharp arc, directly hitting Ye Changsheng's throat. Ye Changsheng was not in a hurry, and his body slightly tilted, narrowly avoiding the attack, and then he turned his sword back, with the tip of the sword pointing directly at the masked man's heart. A trace of fear flashed in the masked man's eyes, and he wanted to dodge, but it was too late. The flying sword cut through the sky and instantly pierced his chest. Ah! The man in black screamed, blood gushed out, and his body fell heavily to the ground like a kite with a broken string. Ye Changsheng walked slowly, his eyes were cold, but he felt a little uneasy in his heart. He squatted down, reached out to remove the mask of the masked man, and immediately took a breath of cold air. Huang Shu, he exclaimed, his eyes full of shock and confusion. He turned out, to be the only supreme elder of the Huang family. After the battle, the 5 demon beast groups lost their leaders and immediately scattered and fled everywhere. The Li family's formation was finally stabilized and no longer attacked, and the crisis was resolved. Thank you for the rescue, Senior Yi. The Li family is grateful. The head of the Li family thanked him. You're welcome. Please let Li Kan know that you are safe. She is very worried about you, Ye Changsheng said. Then Ye Changsheng refused the invitation of the Li family to invite him in and put away the fire crows in the sky. He turned around and drove the flying boat away. As for the scattered demon beast corpses on the ground, Ye Changsheng gave them to the Li family. After all, they are Li Kan's relatives and they can help as much as they can. When Ye Changsheng returned to the Yi family, it happened that his mother Cui Linglang had just stabilized her cultivation and came out of retreat. Ye Changsheng was delighted and hurried over. Mother, you are out of retreat. Ye Changsheng walked quickly to Cui Linglang with a happy smile on his face. Cui Linglang smiled slightly and nodded. Yes, Changsheng, you have worked hard during this period. Ye Changsheng shook his head and said softly, Mother, you have worked hard. I recently bought a set of magic tools for you. After that, he took out the Xixia fairy set from the storage bag and showed it to his mother one by one. This Xixia sword is made of 1000-year-old cold iron. The blade is extremely sharp and can easily cut off ordinary magic tools. After injecting spiritual power, the sword body will emit purple light and be more powerful. Chapter 113. Diverting trouble to others. This purple cloud shield is made from dozens of rare materials. Not only does it have strong defense, it can also absorb some attacks and turn it into your own use. This Liuxia skirt is woven from sky silk. It is light and comfortable and has good defensive power. What's even better is that after wearing it, it can increase the speed of cultivation. After wearing these cloud walking boots, you can walk in the wind as fast as lightning and can also enhance the strength of your legs. The last one is this Xixia flying boat. Although it is small in size, it is not slow and can conceal its aura, making it suitable for long distance travel. Cui Linglang looked at these exquisite magical instruments and was very happy. Okay, these magical instruments are really good. It's rare that you think so thoughtfully. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly. These are what children should do. After Ye Changsheng finished speaking, he took out the monster bag containing the jade green Luan bird. Mother, this is the protective monster I bought for you. A 2nd level high quality jade blue Luan bird. Ye Changsheng said. 2nd level. High grade monster. Cui Linglang was a little surprised. Yes, mother, otherwise I wouldn't be worried about your safety. Ye Changsheng gently opened the monster bag. A green light flashed through, and an elegant bat with a body as green as jade slowly flew out. Its feathers are as shiny as jade, and its wings are spread out, emitting a soft green light. Those smart eyes shone with wisdom, and a cluster of feathers on the top of his head trembled slightly, as if he was sensing the surrounding environment. When Cui Linglang saw this beautiful creature, she couldn't help but exclaimed, "What a beautiful and elegant bird." She stretched out her hand and gently stroked the soft feathers of the blue Luan bird, unable to put it down. Ye Changsheng saw that his mother liked it, so he introduced, "Mother, this jade green Luan is not only beautiful in appearance, but also has many magical abilities. It contains a trace of phoenix blood in its body and has healing ability. Although the flying speed is not the fastest, we can treat your injuries and protect your safety in critical moments." Cui Linglang was even more delighted after hearing this and looked at the King Luan bird lovingly. Ye Changsheng continued, "Mother, let's sacrifice the jade talisman that controls the blue Luan bird now so that it can recognize you as its master." Under the guidance of Ye Changsheng, Cui Linglang began to make jade talismans. As a glimmer of light flashed, the blue Luan bat chirped softly and rubbed Cui Linglang's palm affectionately. "Great, it has recognized its owner," Ye Changsheng said happily. Cui Linglang stroked the King Luan bird's head and said with a smile, "What a cute and well-behaved little guy." The blue Luan bat seemed to be able to understand people's words and responded with a gentle cry and soon became close to Cui Linglang. Bye. The way, mother, this is 500,000 contribution points. You can offer a reward to the clan for some corpses of wood attribute monsters and demon pills, and feed them to King Luan. Ye Changsheng said while transferring the contribution points and the identity jade token to his mother. Well, mother is still immersed in the joy of getting King Luan points. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng resigned. Ye Changsheng went to Ye Jiuhu's place again and gave away the monster Gale Thunder Eagle he bought for his uncle. Grandpa Ye Jiuhu gave it to his uncle Ye Xianyu. After Ye Changsheng returned to Changsheng Garden, he immediately sat on the Xiangang altar and came to the Xiangang. Ye Changsheng came to Wanling Cottage. Excuse me, shopkeeper, do you have any magical herbs here that can lure monsters? When the shopkeeper heard this, his eyes lit up, and he said with a smile, fellow Taoist, I happen to have 3 kinds of high quality spiritual grass that can lure monsters here. He turned around and took out 3 exquisite jade boxes from behind the counter, opened them one by one and introduced. This is the fragrant soul grass, which is very attractive to first order monsters and sells for 50 high grade spiritual stones. This is the demon heart orchid. It can lure monsters from the peak of the first level to the early stage of the second level. It requires 180 high grade spiritual stones. The last one is the monster luring grass. It has a fatal luring effect on monsters below the second level. The price is 350 high grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng carefully looked at the 3 kinds of spiritual herbs and pointed to the last jade box without hesitation. I want this demon luring grass. A trace of surprise flashed in the shopkeeper's eyes, and then he smiled and said, young master, you are so courageous. This monster luring grass is indeed the best among the 3 types. It has a fatal attraction to monsters below the second level. As long as it is placed in the appropriate location, the surrounding area all the monsters within 100 miles will move on hearing the news and rush to find the source of the spiritual grass. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, very good, we just need this effect. With that said, he took out the spirit stone from the storage ring and paid the money happily. Ye Changsheng left the Wanling Cottage and came to a pill store. Do you sell invisibility potions here? Ye Changsheng walked into the store and asked the shopkeeper behind the counter. The shopkeeper was a middle-aged man. When he heard this, his eyes lit up, and he said with a smile, your majesty, you have good taste. We do have several invisibility potions in the store. He turned around and took down 3 small bottles from the shelf and introduced them one by one. This is an ordinary invisibility potion that can make you invisible for 2 hours. It sells for 50 high grade spiritual stones. This is an advanced version. It can last for 4 hours and has 100 high grade spiritual stones. The last bottle is the most advanced invisibility potion in our store. It can be invisible for 6 hours and it can also block the breath. It sells for 300 high grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng listened carefully to the shopkeeper's introduction, thought for a moment and said, I want this bottle of the most expensive one. A trace of surprise flashed in the shopkeeper's eyes, and then his smile became brighter. Good taste. Wait a moment, sir. I will wrap it up for you right now. Ye Changsheng nodded, took out 300 spirit stones from his storage bag, and gave them to the shopkeeper in exchange for the bottle of the highest level invisibility potion. Ye Changsheng then left the heavenly palace and immediately found a hidden place. After leaving the Ye family and evenly applied the high level invisibility potion all over his body. The potion quickly penetrated into his skin, and his figure gradually became transparent until it disappeared completely. After confirming the invisibility effect, Ye Changsheng rushed towards the Zilong Mountains. A few hours later, Ye Changsheng arrived near the Jianalang Pond. This is the area with the most densely populated second level monsters in the Zilong Mountains, and it is only more than 500 miles away from the Huang family. He approached the edge of the pond carefully, took out the monster luring grass from his storage bag, and leaked a little breath. In an instant, the entire Jianalang Pond seemed to boil. The water surface was violently surging, and countless monsters were attracted by the breath of the monster luring grass, and floated to the surface. I saw huge dragons sticking their heads out, and their scales flashed cold light in the sun. Several huge crocodile demons also surfaced, greedily sniffing the scent of the demon luring Grass in the air in the woods on the shore. A group of pig demons as big as cows moved at the news and roared loudly. Several porcupine demons covered with spikes also emerged from the bushes, looking around for the source of the demon luring grass in the sky. Several eagle demons with wings spread several feet high circled and swooped down, scanning the ground with sharp eyes. Chapter 114. Destroying the Huang family. Seeing this scene, Ye Changsheng was secretly happy. He quickly put away the monster luring grass and galloped towards the Huang family. Behind him, a large group of monster beasts followed closely, chasing the faint smell of monster luring grass. Arriving near the Huang family, Ye Changsheng slowed down, carefully followed a Huang family member who entered the formation, and took the opportunity to sneak into the Huang family. He quickly found a hidden corner, placed the monster luring grass there, and then took advantage of the chaos to leave the formation. Not long after, a large number of monsters swarmed in and surrounded the Huang family. The Huang family members suddenly panicked and shouted, "What's going on? Why did the second level monster come out early?" The Huang family's formation began to glow, resisting the attacks of monsters. However, without the foundation building monks in charge, the power of the formation was greatly reduced. I saw more than a dozen dragons hovering in the air, constantly spitting water jets and attacking the formation. On the ground, groups of pig demons and porcupine demons frantically collided with the formation barrier, leaving cracks on the formation with their sharp fangs and thorns. Several crocodile demons opened their bloody mouths and spewed out highly corrosive venom, constantly eroding the foundation of the formation. The hawk demon in the sky swooped down, its sharp claws drawing sparks on the surface of the formation. The Huang family members tried their best to maintain the formation, but under such an intensive offensive, cracks soon appeared in the formation. An elder from the Huang family shouted in horror, "No! The formation is about to be broken. Go to the underground secret room to take refuge." Before he could finish his words, the formation suddenly collapsed. Countless monsters swarmed in and started to massacre the Huang family members crazily. The dragon's tail swept across, instantly beating dozens of people into a pulp. The pig monsters bit like crazy with their fangs, tearing every member of the Huang family into pieces. The crocodile monsters devoured the fleeing people, their fangs stained red with blood. The hawk demon in the sky swooped down, and its sharp claws easily tore apart the Huang family members who tried to escape. The porcupine demon stabs the hiding people into sieves with spikes all over its body. The entire Huang family fell into blood and chaos. Ye Changsheng hid in the distance and watched all this with cold eyes. It wasn't until it was confirmed that everyone in the Huang family had been slaughtered that he quietly left and returned to the Ye family. Along the way, Ye Changsheng felt secretly proud. This time, the Ye family's great enemy was eliminated with the help of monsters. More importantly, no one would doubt him. When the news passes, the Ye family can take the opportunity to annex the Huang family's territory and resources, greatly increasing their strength. Thinking of this, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but sneer at the corner of his mouth. He quickened his pace and galloped towards the Ye family. After Ye Changsheng returned to the Ye family, he immediately found his grandfather Ye Jiuhu. "Grandpa, I have wiped out the Huang family." Ye Changsheng said. "Oh, how did you do it, Ye?" Jiuhu said, a little surprised. Ye Changsheng then told Ye Jiuhu the whole story. Okay, the Huang family and the Ye family have to kill them sooner or later. I didn't expect you to kill them right after the tide of monsters started. You can be considered as avenging the dead members of our Ye family, but this matter must not be made public. It's good that you and I know about it. After all, behind the Huang family is the Liu family of the Z family." Ye Jiuhu said. "I got it, Grandpa." After the two chatted for a while, Ye Changsheng resigned. Ye Changsheng counted the time. Ye Changchen and Ye Shengai were both 8 years old, and it was time to test their spiritual roots. Ye Changsheng personally went to the clan to get a spirit testing platform for testing spiritual roots, and notified Li Kan and Zhao Weina in advance. Ye Changsheng returned to the Changsheng Yuan living room and saw Li Kan and Zhao Weina waiting there with Ye Changchen and Ye Shengai respectively. Ye Changchen and Ye Shengai, whose faces were full of anticipation. Li Kan and Zhao Weina's faces were very nervous. "It's okay. Even if we find out who doesn't have spiritual roots, I won't ask them to leave our side. Ye Changsheng said softly. Thank you, husband, Li. Qian and Zhao Weina said one after the other. They were overjoyed. They did not expect that Ye Changsheng did not follow the common sense in the world of immortality, but cared for the children to such an extent. It's nothing. This is what I, a father, should do. Ye Changsheng said. Point after all, King Hu Peak is controlled by myself and my grandfather now, and there are so many places. Why can't I accommodate my children who have no spiritual roots, even if there are more descendants in the future? Ye Changsheng believes that with his current ability, he can conquer many spiritual mountains and protect future generations with ease. Ye Changsheng tested it first. He put his fleshy little hand on the crystal ball of the testing table. Ye Changsheng and Li Qian's hearts became nervous at the same time. I saw a burst of white light flashing from the crystal ball. No spiritual roots. Li Qian was quite sad, but she resisted showing it and held Ye Changsheng's hand without speaking. Looking at his mother's face, Ye Changsheng also subconsciously became nervous, although he didn't know that he had no spiritual roots. The second Ye Changsheng stepped forward to test. The crystal ball immediately burst out with intense red and green light. It was the twin spiritual roots. Ah, Jua, you have dual spiritual roots. Zhao Weina was overjoyed. Yes, Jua's qualifications are really good, better than those of your father and me. Ye Changsheng said happily. Congratulations, sister. Li Qian stepped forward to congratulate Zhao Weina with some disappointment. Sister, there is no need to be sad. You still have Zuana. In a few years, he may also have dual spiritual roots after testing. Zhao Weina said. I'm borrowing your good words. Li Qian said. Chenna, Jua, come here. Ye Changsheng waved to his two sons when the two little guys came over. Ye Changsheng picked them up one by one. You two, remember, no matter whether you have spiritual roots or not, you are all my sons, and I will treat them equally. Of course those with spiritual roots can pursue immortality, and those without spiritual roots can still be very happy in this world. As a father, I will never leave you. Do you agree? But both little guys said happily. Seeing such a scene, Li Qian finally smiled. Afterwards, Ye Changsheng, with the consent of Li Qian and Zhao Weina, placed them in a hidden soul. Qiana, Wana, if you don't understand the restriction issue, then you will understand after I show you this. Ye Changsheng said, while taking out the key refining chapter of Purple Mansion Immortality Sutra. This is the 4th level technique passed down from family. Purple Mansion Immortality Sutra. Ye Changsheng said, what is this 4th level skill? Li Qian and Zhao Weina were shocked at the same time. They had been extremely surprised to get the 2nd level skill of 5 element cloud sutra before. They did not expect that they would have the opportunity to come into contact with the legendary 4th level skill. Yes, this is just the key refining chapter. Ye Changsheng said, I will put a ban on Jua later, and then you, Wana, will teach him the key refining chapter of this technique. Of course I don't recommend that you still practice this technique now. After you build the foundation, I will pass on the foundation building chapter of this technique to you. Chapter 115 3 years, Part 2. Ye Changsheng said, thank you, husband. Both of them were smiling. Later, Ye Changsheng called Ye Changsheng alone and gave him soul hidden imprisonment. Then he handed Ye Changsheng over to Zhao Weina. Time flies like water, and 3 years have passed in the blink of an eye. In the past 3 years, the tide of monsters has still sent groups of first order monsters from time to time to wreak havoc and attack in human settlements. All the first order monster beasts in the Ye family's territory were wiped out by Ye Changsheng's 3-legged firecrow group that patrolled all year round. And by collecting the corpses of these monster beasts, the Ye family also accumulated a large amount of supplies for cultivating immortals. The plan set a few years ago to widely plant magic rune grass within the clan was also a great success. The King's High family can earn 100,000 spiritual stones every year just from selling talismans. These abundant supplies for cultivating immortals also allowed Ye Changsheng and his relatives around him to spend a large number of contribution points. The most successful one was the Fairy City and Fairy Town plan proposed by Ye Changsheng. Following the introduction of the plan to encourage male tribesmen of the right age to marry more, the number of new members of the Ye family began to increase rapidly, from more than 1,000 to more than 20,000 every year, according to the general rule in the world of cultivating immortals. One person out of 100 people is a cultivator in the next few years. The Ye family will be able to add more than 200 new immortal cultivators every year. Ye family fairy city has also expanded to a circumference of 100 miles with the population boom point. In order to encourage the tribe to have children, the Ye family also use ducks to transport huge amounts of food and other materials every month. The Ye family basin is vast, but if the number of immortal cultivators increases, the Ye family's immortal mountain will not be enough. The Ye family wants to survive and prosper, but they don't have enough territory. The Ye family doesn't lack foundation building pills, but it lacks territory. Coupled with the increasing number of foundation building monks in the family, the Ye family felt increasingly lacking in territory. Everyone in the Ye family is eager to expand. In the past 3 years, the Ye family has produced a total of 5 new foundation building monks, namely, Ye Xianaya, Ye Xianqi, Ye Xianhua, Ye Xianshu, and Ye Xianfeng. Ye Xians broke through and fell on Ye Xianayin and Aunt Liu Kana have also advanced to foundation building. Mother Cui Linglang and Uncle Ye Xianayu are still building the second floor. Luan advanced to the 3rd level of foundation building. Ye Changsheng advanced to the 4th level of foundation building in the 2nd year. His current qualifications are also above the 2nd spiritual root, so he has maintained the promotion speed of the 1st level of foundation building genius for 3 years. Grandpa Ye Jiu, who also just advanced to the 4th level of foundation building, and for the first time, he was overtaken by Ye Changsheng in cultivation. Li Kan and Zhao Weina have both advanced to the 9th level of key refining, one step away from establishing the foundation. Among the foundation building monks in the clan, Ye Jialan was promoted to the 2nd level of foundation building. The rest are still building the 1st level of foundation. What surprised Ye Changsheng was that after Ye Shengaiyu took the spirit ascension fruit and practiced the purple mansion immortality sutra, his spiritual root qualifications had reached a level between the Xianling root and the 2nd spiritual root. In the past 3 years, he has been promoted to 1 level every year and has reached the 3rd level of key refining. It can be said to be a genius after Ye Changsheng's spiritual root qualifications were improved by the ascension spirit fruit and the heavenly spirit fruit. He had reached the 2nd spiritual root qualification. However, since the Zuan he took was far more effective than the elixir, he could practice at the same speed as Xianlingjin in the foundation building period. That is to say, 1 level of cultivation will be improved in 3 years. Grandpa Ye Jiu, who was older when he took Xianling Jiuo, so the effect was not as good as that of Ye Changsheng. For 3 years, Ye Changsheng has been practicing hard and rarely went to the heavenly palace. Now that I have finished my hard training and have time, I have come to the heavenly palace again. Ye Changsheng stepped into Wanling cottage, and the familiar scent of medicine hit his face. He looked around and saw the shopkeeper sorting the shelves, so he stepped forward and asked, "Shopkeeper, do you know if there are any spiritual fruits suitable for monks in the middle stage of foundation building to increase their mana?" The shopkeeper smiled and turned around, cupped his hands and said, "Tao Yao, I have several kinds of spiritual fruits suitable for the middle stage of foundation building." He thought for a moment and continued, "There are Kingling fruit, Zixa fruit and 100 Yuan fruit. All 3 are good." "Oh. Can you tell me in detail?" Ye Changsheng asked with interest. The shopkeeper nodded and explained, "Of the 3 spiritual fruits, the Kingling fruit is more affordable, costing 300 high-grade spiritual stones. The Zixa fruit is slightly more effective, costing 450 high-grade spiritual stones, and the 100 Yuan fruit, the best effect, 1600 high-grade spiritual stone." Ye Changsheng looked at these 3 spiritual fruits carefully, and finally nodded and said, "Then give me 100 Yuan fruit." Ye Changsheng nodded in agreement, and then asked, "Are there any spiritual fruits suitable for foundation building monks, to increase their spiritual consciousness?" The shopkeeper thought for a while and replied, "There are 3 kinds of spiritual fruits that increase spiritual consciousness, Zuanling fruit, Zuanyuan fruit and Zuanshan fruit. The effects increase in order, and Zuanshan fruit is the best." "How Many spiritual stones does the Zhuanshen Yuo have? Ye Changsheng asked. 500 high-grade spiritual stones. The shopkeeper replied. Ye Changsheng said happily, okay, let's get one each. After the transaction was completed, Ye Changsheng left the Wanling cottage and went straight to the Lingshu Formation Treasure Pavilion. He asked the shopkeeper, is there a second level high-grade spirit ascending array? The shop owner enthusiastically introduced, young master has a good eye. We happen to have 2 sets of second level high grade spirit ascension arrays here. Each set is equipped with 8 spirit ascension beads. Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up and he asked, I wonder what the price is. The 2 sets add up to 40,000 high grade spiritual stones. The shopkeeper replied. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment, then nodded and said, okay, I want them all. After Ye Changsheng bought the needed items, he returned to the real world. Ye Changsheng came to the space of the true dragon Immortal Tree with a thought. He took out the 100 yuan fruit and the mysterious god fruit respectively, and placed them on the spiritual soil. Ye Changsheng now has more than 30 drops of second level immortal dew accumulated. He took a drop of second level immortal dew, and dropped it on the 100 yuan fruit and the mysterious god fruit. After a while, 2 lush second level spiritual fruit trees stood in front of Ye Changsheng. There are 24 spiritual fruits on the 100 yuan fruit tree. There are 48 spiritual fruits on the Zhuanshen fruit tree. Ye Changsheng took off the fruits respectively, carefully put them into the jade box, and then emerged from the fairy tree space. Ye Changsheng then rushed to his grandfather Ye Jiu, whose tiger gardened. Grandpa, this is a 100 yuan fruit suitable for increasing cultivation in the middle stage of foundation building. Ye Changsheng casually handed over the jade box containing 1200 yuan fruits. Yes, with this spiritual fruit, we don't have to worry about the growth of our cultivation in the middle stage of foundation building. Grandpa. Ye Jiu, who was beaming. Grandpa, this is the mysterious divine fruit, a spiritual fruit that increases spiritual awareness during the foundation building period. This is for you and the other supreme elders, 2 for each person. Ye Changsheng took out the jade box containing 26 mysterious divine fruits. Oh, why is that? Ye Jiu, who was a little confused. Grandpa, based on the current tide of monsters, I judge that second order monsters will appear on a large scale soon. In order to avoid too many casualties in the Ye family, I decided to equip everyone with a second level mid-level puppet. Equip you with a late second level puppet. That's why everyone needs to prepare spiritual fruits that increase their spiritual consciousness in advance. By the way, you can tell the clan leader that these spiritual fruits need to give me a total of 12 million contribution points. Ye Changsheng said, if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116, Spiritual Vein Upgrade. Good guy, this spiritual fruit is not cheap. Ye Jiu, who sighed. Grandpa, how can a spiritual fruit that can rapidly increase spiritual consciousness be cheap? You also know that in a place like Xiangang, everything that appears is of high quality. Ye Changsheng said. By the way, there are also 2 second level high grade spirit ascension arrays and corresponding spirit ascension beads. Ye Changsheng took out another storage bag. One of these 2 is to upgrade our King Hu Peak's spiritual veins, and the other is to upgrade the King Hu Peak's spiritual veins. In the face of the huge tide of monsters, it is really difficult to supply the second order high grade formation with the second order low grade spiritual veins. Now we will upgrade the spiritual veins to match the corresponding second order high grade formation. As long as the third order monsters do not attack, the Ye family is quite protected. By the way, you can tell the clan leader that you need to give me 20 million contribution points for this. There is no way. The spirit ascension array is very expensive wherever it is. Ye Changsheng said. Well, he'll understand this. What you have done for the clan is alright. Ye Jiu, who said happily, as a member of the Ye family, this is what Changsheng should do. Ye Changsheng said, okay, then I'll set off to arrange these things. Ye Jiuhu didn't hesitate and started taking action directly. A few days later, the formation masters invited by the Ye family finally arrived at Qinghu Peak and Kingsu Peak. They each held formation discs and carefully surveyed the terrain of the two peaks. After repeated comparisons, they selected a spot on each mountain peak with the strongest aura point. The formation masters began to draw complicated formation patterns on the ground, and each stroke was extremely precise. Then, they carefully buried the Spirit Ascension Pearl into the formation pattern. When the last Spirit Ascension Pearl was placed, the array masters muttered words and quickly formed seals with their hands. In an instant, the array disc floated in mid-air, emitting a dazzling light. Countless golden runes flew out of the formation disc and landed on the formation pattern. The two mountain peaks shook at the same time, as if a giant dragon was awakening in the heart of the mountain. Golden light flashed on the ground, gradually gathering into spiritual springs, gush out from all over the mountain. The rich spiritual energy permeates the entire valley, refreshing the soul. The mountain continues to rise, becoming taller and towering into the clouds as the spiritual energy continued to pour in. The spiritual grass in the mountains grew crazily. The originally sparse vegetation became lush and lush in just a few days, and even rare elixirs began to bloom and bear fruit. 2 brand new second level high grade spiritual veins were born again. The steps of Zifu. This is the step of Zifu. Ye Dongren was very excited. According to common sense, the Ye family now has 19 foundation building monks, 2 second level high level spiritual veins, and 2 second level high level clan protection formations. There is also a second level low grade fairy city and more than 30 fairy towns. In a few years, there will be more than 200 new cultivators every year. The core clan members can also practice third level skills with such a force, as long as there are no big problems. Sooner or later an ancestor of the Z mansion will appear. However, the current tide of monsters is a big problem. As long as there are enough second level monsters to attack, or a third level monster, everything in the Ye family will be reduced to ashes. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Many foundation building monks of the Ye family have finished digesting the mysterious god fruit. Under the influence of this strange fruit, everyone's consciousness increased by 30 to 40%. It is now possible to operate a puppet. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng came to the heavenly palace again. Ye Changsheng stepped into the heavenly palace and went straight to a puppet store called One Puppet Pavilion. The store has a small facade, but there is something special inside, with a dazzling array of puppets on display, making it dizzying to see. This fellow Taoist is here to buy a puppet. An old man with a kind face came up to him. He was the shopkeeper of One Puppet Pavilion. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, exactly. I want to buy a batch of puppets for my family. I wonder if your store has suitable ones. The shopkeeper's eyes lit up, and he said quickly, young master came at just the right time. Our One Puppet Pavilion has just received a batch of high quality puppets. They are all of high quality and are guaranteed to satisfy young master. With that said, the shopkeeper led Ye Changsheng to the display area deep in the store. I saw all kinds of puppets placed here, including humanoid ones, animal shaped ones, and even some weird ones. This is a second level puppet area, the shopkeeper introduced. Sir, please see. Here are the second order low grade puppets. Over there are the second order mid grade puppets, and the one inside is the second order high grade puppets. Each one has its own uniqueness. Ye Changsheng looked at the puppet in front of him carefully and felt dazzled. Some puppets have a majestic appearance, and you can tell at a glance that they have powerful attacks. Some puppets are exquisitely shaped and must be good at assisting. There are also puppets that look bulky but must have amazing defense capabilities. Sir, do you have any special requirements for the puppet? Seeing Ye Changsheng's hesitation, the shopkeeper asked. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment and said, I need some puppets with good attack power but stronger defense. It is best to be one that can repair itself after minor injuries. When the shopkeeper heard this, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes, and then he smiled and said, young master has good eyesight. This kind of puppet is indeed our best product. Please come with me. He led Ye Changsheng to a row of uniquely shaped puppets. These puppets looked like armored warriors, with a metallic texture all over their bodies, but with a faint aura flowing through them. This is the puppet that the young master needs. The shopkeeper introduced. They are our Wangui Pavilion's unique secret, called Vajra puppets. Although their attack power is not the strongest, it is definitely not bad. The most important thing is that their defense is extremely amazing, and ordinary attacks can't break through their defense at all. Ye Changsheng looked at these Vajra puppets carefully and saw that the armor on their bodies seemed to be able to change on their own, and there was a faint light flowing, like flowing water. The shopkeeper continued. Moreover, the biggest feature of these puppets is their self-healing ability. As long as they are not fatally injured, they can repair themselves in a short time. This greatly reduces the maintenance cost. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, "It's really good. I wonder what the price of this kind of puppet is." A second level medium quality Vajra puppet is sold for 4,000 high quality spirit stones each. A second level high quality one is sold for 6,000 high quality spirit stones each. The shopkeeper quoted the price point. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment and said, "Then give me 20 second level medium quality ones and 2 second level high quality ones." The shopkeeper was overjoyed when he heard this and said quickly, "Okay, wait a moment, sir. I'll go and prepare it." After a while, the shopkeeper brought a few assistants and placed the 22 Vajra puppets neatly in front of Ye Changsheng. "Sir, please take a look. These are carefully selected high quality goods. Each one has undergone strict quality inspection." The shopkeeper said respectfully. Ye Changsheng carefully checked each puppet, and after confirming that it was correct, he took out a large pile of high quality spirit stones from the storage ring and handed them to the shopkeeper. Chapter 117 King Kong Puppet. There are 92,000 high grade spiritual stones in total. Please count them, the shopkeeper, Ye Changsheng said. The shopkeeper carefully took the spirit stones, counted them carefully, and said with a smile, "The number is correct. Thank you for your patronage, sir." After the transaction was completed, Ye Changsheng asked the shopkeeper about some precautions for using and maintaining the puppet. The shopkeeper talks about everything he knows and talks about everything, and he imparts his many years of experience to others before leaving. The shopkeeper also specially presented Ye Changsheng with a King Kong puppet user manual and some special materials for maintaining the puppet. "Young master, if you need puppets again in the future, you can come to me at any time. Our one puppet pavilion will serve you wholeheartedly," the shopkeeper said with a smile. Ye Changsheng nodded his thanks and then left one pavilion. Ye Changsheng then left the heavenly palace and returned to the real world. After returning to the family, Ye Changsheng immediately sent a second order high grade Vajra puppet and 12 second order mid grade Vajra puppets to his grandfather Ye Jiuhu. "Grandpa, these 12 Vajra puppets are worth 4.8 million spiritual stones. It's a masterpiece among puppets. It has amazing defense and can repair even minor injuries on its own. Okay, now the safety of our Ye family members is guaranteed." After Ye Jiuhu got these puppets, he rushed to Kingsu Peak happily. Ye Changsheng sent the remaining puppets to his mother Cui Linglang and others. Ye Changsheng himself went to sacrifice the second level high grade Vajra puppet. 3 months have passed, and Ye Changsheng has finished refining his King Kong puppet. Others have also finished their sacrifices. Ye Changsheng also discussed it with his grandfather Ye Jiuhu. The family training ground was open to everyone on Kinghu Peak to hone their magical weapons and puppet tactics during this period of time. Everyone on Kinghu Peak has made rapid progress. Ye Changsheng was very pleased when he saw it. After all, it would be false to not worry about the safety of your family and the approaching second order monster beast. Finally free, Ye Changsheng prepared to take care of his group of 3-legged fire crows. His 3-legged fire crow group on the back mountain has been supplemented by more than 200 first order fire crows every year, and the overall number has reached the level of more than 2,000. But having many second level fire crows crowded together with other fire crows somewhat delayed the second level fire crows cultivation. After all, having a fire hibiscus alone can allow a second level fire crow to better absorb the power of fire, allowing them to practice better. There are now 9 fire hibiscus trees on the mountain behind King Hu Peak Point Ye Changsheng planned to equip each second level fire crow with the fire hibiscus. Ye Changsheng's mind moved, and he entered the space of the true dragon Immortal Tree. Point Ye Changsheng placed 32 second level fire mulberries on the spiritual soil. Point he took out 32 drops of second level fairy dew, and dropped them on 32 fire mulberries. As Ye Changsheng dropped the fairy dew on the fire mulberry, a magical energy began to flow in the space of the true dragon fairy tree. 32 fire mulberries quickly absorbed the essence of the fairy dew and began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. First, each seed splits open to reveal a tender green sprout. These sprouts stretched upward at an alarming rate and soon grew into slender saplings. The saplings continue to grow, the branches gradually become thicker, and the bark turns dark red, like a burning flame. As time goes by, the branches and leaves of the fire hibiscus begin to become denser. The leaves are flaming reds and oranges, swaying gently in the breeze. Like dancing flames, the canopy gradually unfolds to form an elegant umbrella-like structure. The trunk continued to grow and became thicker, with fine lines appearing on the surface, like flowing magma. The bark gives off a faint heat, and you can feel the warm pulse when you touch it. Soon after, the fire hibiscus began to bloom. The flowers are a dazzling golden red color, like miniature suns, emitting a charming light. The edges of the petals are slightly transparent, shining with a strange luster in the sunlight. Finally, fruits begin to form on the branches. These fire mulberries are dark red in color, with fine lines on their surface, exuding a strong aura of the fire element. The entire growth process lasted for several days, and finally all 32 fire hibiscus plants matured and reached a height of more than 10 meters, with lush branches and leaves and abundant fruits. Ye Changsheng picked all the fire mulberries, about 200,000 of them, and put them all into a large jade storage box. With a thought, Ye Changsheng emerged from the Immortal Tree space. Ye Changsheng returned to the mountain behind King Hu Peak, where he raised the three-legged fire crow. Since King Hu Peak's spiritual veins were promoted to the second level high grade, the fire hibiscus in the back mountain has grown more and more prosperously, and the branches and leaves are exuding strong fire energy. More than 2,000 three-legged fire crows live on 9 tall fire hibiscus trees, and the branches are densely packed with fire crows. As soon as Ye Changsheng stepped into the back mountain, Xiaohuo immediately flew over it, rubbed against Ye Changsheng's shoulder affectionately, and made several happy chirps. Xiaohuo's aura has suddenly reached the peak of the second level mid-level, and Ye Changsheng has directly given birth to 10 fire element fruit trees in the past 3 years. With the accumulation of a large amount of fire yuan fruit, Xiaohuo is worthy of being the descendant of a 4th level monster with extraordinary talents. The cultivation level has directly advanced to the point where it is about to break through to the late 2nd level. Ye Changsheng gently stroked Xiaohuo's feathers and said warmly, "Xiaohuo, I have something good for you today." As he spoke, Ye Changsheng took out thousands of second order fire mulberries from his storage bag and scattered them on the ground. Xiaohuo seemed to understand what Ye Changsheng meant and immediately let out a crisp cry, as if conveying an order. More than 2,000 fire crows moved at the sound, flew down from the trees, and began to peck at the fire mulberries on the ground. While the fire crows were eating, Ye Changsheng took out a magic sword and began to dig holes in the open space. He was skilled in his movements and soon dug 32 holes of appropriate size. Then, he moved his mind and took out 32 prepared second level fire hibiscus from the fairy tree space. Although these fire hibiscus trees are young, they have grown in the fairy tree space and are already more than 10 meters high. Ye Changsheng carefully planted them one by one in the dug pits, cultivated the roots with soil, and applied some special spiritual fertilizer. With the planting of these new fire hibiscus trees, the concentration of fire element in the entire back mountain suddenly increased. There was a faint heat in the air, and the temperature was obviously higher than the surrounding area. These fire hibiscus trees formed a small fire element forest, and the trees echoed each other, forming a unique fire element ecosystem. At this time, the 32 second level fire crows in the fire crow group finished eating fire mulberries. They seemed to sense the newly planted fire hibiscus trees and flew up one after another. Each fire crow chose a new tree To roost point they landed on the branches and chirped happily, obviously very satisfied with this new home point. The remaining more than 2,000 first level 3-legged fire crows flew back to the original 9 fire hibiscus trees. There were about 200 or 300 fire crows perched on each tree. They shuffled between the branches and chirped pleasantly, and the whole back mountain was full of vitality. Ye Changsheng looked at this scene with satisfaction, and was secretly happy in his heart. This fire element forest not only provided an ideal training environment for the second level fire crows, but also added a unique landscape to the entire Qinghu Peak. Chapter 118 Fire Crow Advances Again, Part 2. Next, Ye Changsheng turned his attention to those first level high grade fire crows who were about to advance. This is the result of his careful cultivation for more than 3 years. A total of 26 fire crows have reached the critical point of promotion. After Xiaohou imposed a control ban on the 26 fire crows, Ye Changsheng took out 26 foundation building fruits from the storage bag and handed them to each of the fire crows. The fire crows took the foundation building fruit and began to devour it. The foundation building fruit melted in the mouth, turning into streams of pure spiritual power that quickly circulated in Huoya's body. As the energy of the foundation building fruit was absorbed, the bodies of these fire crows began to change. Their plumage becomes more colorful and their size slightly increases. The most obvious change is their eyes. The originally dark eyes are shining with the light of wisdom. After some transformation, 16 fire crows finally successfully advanced to the second level. They happily spread their wings and hovered in the air, showing off their newfound power. Ye Changsheng looked at this scene with a happy smile on his face. He was already planning in his mind that he would arrange special fire fusang trees for these newly promoted second level fire crows in the future. Just when Ye Changsheng was admiring his group of fire crows, he received an urgent message from J Talisman, asking him to hold a clan meeting. Ye Changsheng tidied up and hurried to the Qinghu Peak Clan Council Hall. When Ye Changsheng arrived, everyone except the people from Qinghu Peak arrived. It seemed that everyone was waiting for him, so Ye Changsheng quickly took his seat without any nonsense. The clan leader Ye Jialan looked at Ye Changsheng with a serious face. The tide of immortal beasts has officially begun. I just received a message from the Liu family of the Z family. The Yunhai city of the Li family has been besieged by hundreds of second level monsters. Foundation building monks from the major foundation building families need to be urgently mobilized for reinforcement. As for the manpower going into battle, everyone wants to hear your opinion. Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment after hearing this. Clan leader, I would like to ask, how many foundation building monks have been reported and exposed in our family? Ye Changsheng asked. He had concealed all the information about the foundation building at Qinghu Peak. Ye Changsheng mainly looked at how much was hidden at Qinghu Peak. Your grandfather, Supreme Master Jiuhu, you, Changsheng, Supreme Master Dangren, Supreme Master Jiubeo, including me, there are 5 exposed in total. In the past 10 years or so, we have been able to produce 5 foundation building monks from a family in the late stage of key refining. From the outside world, this is a great opportunity. Ye Jialang sighed. Then, how many foundation building troops will the Liu family ask us to send out? Ye Changsheng asked. Tell us to send out 3 foundation building combatants. Ye Jialang replied. Then, let me go alone. I plan to go there with a dozen second level fire crows, which will be more than enough to support 3 foundation building battles. Ye Changsheng said. Well, your hard work will make you immortal. Ye Jialang said. No. Hard work, everything is for the family. Ye Changsheng said loudly. Yes, everything is for the family, everyone said in unison. Of course Ye Changsheng doesn't have to go, but once he comes, he has the highest cultivation level and the highest combat power. Secondly, when other people in the clan went, they basically had the cultivation level of the first level of foundation building. Even with the Vajra puppet in the middle level of foundation building, their cultivation level was still low and there was a risk of falling. Therefore, Ye Changsheng decided to take the 12 fire weapons with him. crow goes. Ye Changsheng packed up and put all the fire crows into the monster bag and drove the flying boat towards Yunhaifang City. Arriving near Yunhaifang City, Ye Changsheng had already seen the group of monster beasts attacking Fangshi's formation on the periphery. Ye Changsheng drove the flying boat close to Yunhaifang City, and the sight in front of him shocked him. Hundreds of huge second level monsters surround Fang City. They are either flying in the air or running on the ground, constantly launching fierce attacks on Fang City's protective formation. Among them, a giant lizard monster with a body length of more than 10 feet was commanding hundreds of first order salamanders, spitting out blazing flames to form a firewall impact array. On the other side, a dragon monster covered with hard scales was entrenched in the sky, controlling a large number of first order water monsters to condense huge water balls, which continuously bombarded the formation. The two completely different attacks of water and fire are intertwined to form a spectacular and terrifying picture. Fangshi's protective formation continued to flicker under this fierce offensive, but it still persisted. Ripples appeared on the surface of the formation, and every time the monster's attack was about to hit, it would be blocked by an invisible barrier. At the same time, the formation was also counter-attacking, and from time to time dazzling rays of light shot out from the formation, hitting those monsters that got too close. A small but extremely fast wind monster led a group of first order flying monsters, circling and swooping in the air, trying to find the weak point of the formation. They flexibly avoided the counterattacks of the large formation and launched surprise attacks from time to time. On the ground, a huge rock monster is commanding a large number of earth monsters, constantly digging underground, trying to break through the formation from the ground. Whenever they are close to the edge of the formation, they will be bounced away by an invisible force. On the entire battlefield, the roars of monster beasts, the bombardment of spells, and the hum of the formation intertwined together to form a deafening din. The air was filled with thick demonic energy and mana fluctuations, making people feel suffocated. Although Fangshi's protective formation is still strong, some subtle cracks have begun to appear under the continuous fierce attacks. If this continues, I'm afraid that the formation will be breached sooner or later. The foundation building forces that received the order to come to reinforce have gathered on the side to support the defense personnel inside the formation. There are about 40 or 50 foundation building cultivators who have come to reinforce, and they have set up a second level medium grade protective formation. After Ye Changsheng reported his identity information, he entered the formation. I am Ye Changsheng from the Liu family. May I ask if you are from the King's Huyi family? The leader, who was wearing a golden robe and had a late foundation building cultivation, said, yes, our King's Huyi family received the task of sending 3 foundation building combat forces, but the other personnel were busy in retreat. Only I had the convenience, so I came here by myself, but I have 12 second level fire crows on me, which can completely offset the 3 foundation building combat forces. Ye Changsheng said, oh, Liu. Kingshan's eyes lit up. I never thought that you had such a superb beast controlling ability. It is really a cause for celebration that you can come. Everyone looked at Ye Changsheng in surprise when they heard that he could control 12 three-legged fire crows. They all rushed forward to greet Ye Changsheng. Among them, a pair of twin sisters left a deep impression. The twin sisters looked young, about 20 years old. They were tall and slender, with fair skin and beautiful looks. The elder sister was named Zhang Yun and the younger sister was named Zhang Fei. They looked very similar. Both had a pair of bright eyes, a high nose bridge, and a cherry mouth. Chapter 119. The Zhang family, 039's twin beauties. The difference is that the elder sister Zhang Yun's eyebrows are slightly heroic, giving people a heroic feeling. The younger sister Zhang Fei's eyebrows are softer and appear gentle and pleasant. Both sisters wore fitted light blue dresses, with the skirts fluttering in the wind, making them even more elegant and agile. There is a silver belt tied around the waist, dotted with several gems, shining brightly. Their temperaments also have their own characteristics. My elder sister, Zhang Yun, has a capable manner and firm eyes. At first glance, she has a decisive and neat character. Sister Zhang Fei looked gentle and graceful, with a bit of playfulness in her eyes that stood together, not only showing the intimacy between sisters, but also exuding their own unique charm. which was unforgettable. What's even more striking is that they are all in the late stages of foundation building. Seeing Ye Changsheng's unique gaze, Liu Qingshan whispered to Ye Changsheng, "Brother, these two twin sisters are the twin sisters of the Zhang family of Ye Mansion. They have a good reputation and have double spiritual roots. I don't know how many heroes have fallen before these two sisters, but the Zhang family of Ye Mansion must bite the bullet. The sisters are determined not to marry outside." Ye Changsheng nodded. "Thanks for the advice, brother." Ye Changsheng said respectfully. Determined not to marry outside. Ye Changsheng sounded a bit familiar. Isn't this what the foundation establishment Lu family said before? But Lu Wan is already the mother of her 4 children. In the past 3 years, Lu Wan gave herself another pair of twins, also a boy and a girl. The 7th child's name is Ye Shenghao, and the 8th child's name is Ye Shenghao. As a representative of the Liu family of Ye Mansion, Liu Qingshan naturally became the commander of this rescue operation. He looked around, quickly assessed the current situation, and then began to lay out his tactics. "Fellow Taoists, we must distract the monster beasts and find a breakthrough at the same time," Liu Qingshan said solemnly. "I suggest dividing into 3 teams. The first team is responsible for attracting firepower from the front, the second team assaults from the flank, and the third team is responsible for attracting firepower from the front. The third team is responsible for support and response." Everyone nodded in agreement. Liu Qingshan continued, "Fellow Daoist Ye, your fire crow is strong. Can you lead the first team?" Ye Changsheng nodded in agreement. "No problem, my fire crow and I will go all out." "Okay, then Zhang sisters, you lead the second team to break through from the left. I will lead the third team to support the 2 main attack directions at any time." Liu Qingshan decisively assigned tasks. After the arrangements were made, the 3 teams quickly got into position. Ye Changsheng stood at the front, with 12 fire crows circling behind him, with an astonishing momentum. More than a dozen foundation building monks followed closely behind, ready to prepare attack. Following Liu Qingshan's order, the 3 teams launched an attack at the same time. Ye Changsheng took the lead, and the 12 fire crows spread out in a fan shape, advancing towards the group of monster beasts like a great wall of flames. As soon as he thought, the fire crows would spit out blazing flames, forming a sea of fire, and engulfing the monsters in front of them. "Zhao Huo, you are responsible for commanding the other fire crows." Ye Changsheng sent a message to Firecrow, who was closest to him. "Remember, be flexible and don't fight forcefully." Zhao Huo let out a clear chirp to express his understanding, and then led the other Firecrows to spread out and start flexible guerrilla tactics. Sometimes they gather to form a firestorm, and sometimes they disperse to harass, making it difficult for the monster beast group to deal with it. Ye Changsheng was holding a magical sword and continuously launched powerful sword attacks to create opportunities for the monks behind him. Every time he takes a shot, he can severely damage a 2nd level monster, showing a strength that far exceeds that of the mid-stage foundation building stage. At the same time, Liu Qingshan led the 3rd team to cruise in the rear, ready to support at any time. The jade ruai in his hand was constantly waving, releasing streaks of green light, either to attack the enemy or to provide defense for friendly forces. The Zhang sisters led the 2nd team to launch a surprise attack from the left. Zhang Yun held a silver longsword. The sword was as bright as snow, and monsters fell down wherever it went. Zhang Fei controls an emerald green jade flute. The flute has a melodious sound, but it can be condensed into countless tiny emerald green sword energy, which is densely shot at the enemy group like rain. The battle was in full swing, and the human monks were winning steadily. However, at this moment, something unexpected happened. A 2nd level high grade monster hidden in the group of monsters suddenly emerged. It was a huge thunder eagle, its whole body covered with feathers that flashed with lightning. This thunder eagle is obviously the leader of the monster beast group, and it has been waiting for the opportunity. As soon as the thunder eagle appeared, it rushed towards the Zhang sisters, obviously wanting to get rid of these 2 powerful opponents first. Although Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei were quite powerful, they still seemed a little powerless when facing this 2nd level high grade monster. Careful, Liu Changsheng shouted and wanted to rush to support, but was entangled by other monsters at the critical moment. Ye Changsheng took decisive action point, while letting Xiaohuo continue to direct the fire crow to fight. He used his trump card, the second level high grade King Kong puppet. Go, Ye Changsheng gave an order, and the Vajra puppet rushed towards Thunder Eagle like an arrow from a string point at the same time. Ye Changsheng sacrificed his own magic weapon, the 12 mysterious light sword. 12 flying swords hovered in the air, forming a huge sword array, shrouding the Thunder Eagle. The King Kong puppet challenged the Thunder Eagle head on, and the two sides went back and forth, fighting inextricably. Seeing this, the Zhang sisters were not to be outdone. Zhang Yun's swordsmanship became more fierce, and Zhang Fei's flute sound became high-pitched and passionate. The two sisters cooperated tacitly, and formed a perfect offensive and defensive system with Ye Changsheng's King Kong puppet and flying sword. Though the Thunder Eagle was powerful, it was still unable to resist facing so many powerful enemies. It flapped its wings desperately, releasing thunderbolts, trying to break out. But how could Ye Changsheng give it this chance? He made a gesture with both hands, and the 12 mysterious light swords instantly turned into a dazzling light curtain, trapping the Thunder Eagle firmly. The King Kong puppet seized the opportunity and punched the Thunder Eagle in the head. Now, Ye Changsheng shouted. The Zhang sisters understood and launched the strongest attack at the same time. Zhang Yun's long sword turned into a galaxy and pierced the heart of the Thunder Eagle, and Zhang Fei's flute sound condensed into a huge emerald green longsword that slashed at the neck of the Thunder Eagle. Under the three-way attack, this powerful second level upper grade monster finally lost its opponent and fell to the ground with a cry. With the fall of the Thunder Eagle, the morale of other monsters suddenly plummeted. Ye Changsheng seized this opportunity and commanded the fire crows to launch a general attack. Xiaohuo led the fire crows like a stream of meteors, shuttling back and forth among the monsters, and wherever they went, flames shot up into the sky. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng also issued an order for a general attack. All the cultivators took out their best skills, and various spells and magic tools were used, and the scene was spectacular. After a fierce battle, the monsters were finally defeated and fled in all directions. This thrilling battle finally came to an end. According to statistics, after the war, the human side killed more than 20 second level monsters, including the second level top grade Thunder Eagle. Chapter 120 Harvest. This is undoubtedly a huge victory. However, the price of victory was not small. Ye Changsheng lost 2 of his 12 fire crows, and other monks also suffered varying degrees of casualties. Thank you Daoist for saving me. After the battle, the Zhang sisters came to Ye Changsheng and sincerely thanked him. Zhang Yun said, if fellow Daoist hadn't taken action in time, my sisters would have been in great danger. Zhang Fei added with a smile, fellow Daoist is not only powerful, but also witty. Fellow Daoist is indispensable for achieving such a great victory this time. Ye Changsheng replied humbly, you two girls are very grateful. Being able to repel the monster group this time is the result of everyone's joint efforts. I'm also impressed by the strength of these two. At this time, Ye Changsheng came over and said with a smile, fellow Daoist is right. This victory is indeed the result of everyone's joint efforts. However, Daoist's contribution is indeed the greatest, especially saving the Zhang family Shuangjiao at the critical moment. Make a great contribution. When Ye Changsheng heard this, he just smiled and said nothing. He knew that this performance would undoubtedly greatly increase his reputation in the world of immortality. Especially showing strength in front of the children of big families such as the Zhang sisters and Ye Changsheng will definitely bring a lot of benefits. With the defeat of the monster group, the crisis in Yunhai City was finally lifted. The monks of the Li family who were in the foundation building period in Fang City came to express their thanks one after another. Thanks to the help of all fellow Taoists, we, Yunhai Fang City, were able to survive this disaster. The head of the Li family, Li Yuanzhao, raised his hand and said, my Li family will repay you generously for your great kindness. Everyone bowed their hands in return. Then it's time to divide the spoils. A total of more than 300 monsters were killed in this battle, including 47 second order monsters and nearly 300 first order monsters. Second level high grade demon pills, 7 second level middle grade, 18 pieces second level Low grade, 22 pieces first level top grade, more than 150 pieces first level middle and lower grade, more than 800 pieces for his outstanding performance in the battle. Ye Changsheng received an inner elixir from a late level second level fire attribute monster, a late level second level wind attribute demonic elixir, and 10 elixirs from a low level second level fire attribute monster as rewards. This harvest made him satisfied. As for the corpses of the monsters, they were divided among the other monks, and several monks who died in battle received double material compensation. After this battle, Ye Changsheng's reputation became famous in the world of immortal cultivation. Many monks came forward to chat with him, hoping to make friends with this young and promising talented monk. Even Shuangjiao of the Zhang family showed a strong interest in Ye Changsheng and frequently cast eyes on him. Fellow Daoist Ye, could you leave me your contact information? If there is an opportunity in the future, we can communicate more. Zhang Yun said with a smile. Ye Changsheng politely responded to everyone's enthusiasm and left his contact information in a timely manner. He understands that in the world of immortality, human resources are equally important. You are so polite, fellow Taoists. Ye's achievements today are all due to your help. If you need Ye in the future, just ask. Ye Changsheng said humbly. Everyone responded enthusiastically. Liu Qingshan smiled and said, Brother Ye, I will report your military exploits to Fenglui Pavilion in detail. I hope you won't be stingy if you need the Ye family's place in the future. Thank you so much, Brother Liu. Whenever you are called upon in the future, I will definitely come. Ye Changsheng promised. After handling all matters, Ye Changsheng declined everyone's attempts to stay and left the battlefield in a flying boat. Ye Changsheng stepped into the door of the Ye family, and his heart was filled with the joy of returning home. He went straight to the meeting hall where the clan leader was and reported the battle in detail to the clan leader, received praise from the patriarch. After the report, Ye Changsheng hurried to his grandfather Ye Jiu, whose residence. Pushing open the wooden door of the courtyard, he saw his grandfather sitting leisurely at the stone table, and King Fengpeng beside him was combing his feathers elegantly. Seeing his grandson return, Ye Jiu, whose eyes immediately shined with loving light. Grandpa, I'm back. Ye Changsheng walked quickly to the stone table and bowed respectfully. Okay, sit down and talk about the situation of this battle. Ye Jiu, who smiled and motioned for his grandson to sit down. After Ye Changsheng sat down, he began to tell his grandfather about the battle in detail. He vividly described the thrills on the battlefield and how he used what he learned in daily life to deal with various crises. Ye Jiu, who nodded repeatedly when he heard this, and the pride in his eyes was beyond words. After finishing the story, Ye Changsheng took out a crystal clear blue demon elixir from his arms and handed it to his grandfather respectfully with both hands. Grandpa, this is a second level high grade demon elixir with wind attributes. I thought it could be used to feed you. King Fengpeng, enhance its strength. Ye Jiu, who took the demon pill, stroked its smooth surface lovingly and said happily, okay, it's rare for you to have such a heart. It seems that this expedition has not only improved your strength, but also made you a better person. Mature. Ye Changsheng replied humbly, Grandpa, thank you for your good teaching. I just tried my best. Although he spoke modestly, his face could not hide the look of pride. Haha, you boy, you are really good at talking. Ye Jiu, who smiled and patted Ye Changsheng on the shoulder, and then his expression turned serious. However, practicing on the battlefield is not as good as usual, and you will lose your life if you are not careful. You must be more careful in the future, and remember not to be arrogant and complacent. Grandpa, don't worry, I will always be vigilant and act cautiously. Ye Changsheng promised solemnly. Ye Jiu, who nodded with satisfaction, and then changed the subject. How is your cultivation recently? My cultivation has progressed smoothly recently, and I have reached the middle of the 4th level of foundation building. Ye Changsheng said, it's not a good thing for your cultivation to progress so fast. You can settle down a little. Ye Jiu, who said, okay, Grandpa, I know, I will pay attention. Ye Changsheng said. Then, Ye Jiu began to ask Ye Changsheng about what he saw and heard on this trip. The grandfather and grandson chatted happily. Ye Changsheng also took the opportunity to ask about the recent situation of the family. Ye Jiu told him everything he knew and told him about the recent situation of the family. As the night deepened, bursts of flower fragrance wafted from the courtyard. King Fengpeng had already packed his feathers and quietly perched aside. The grandfather and grandson were still immersed in the warm conversation, enjoying this rare quiet time. The next morning, Ye Changsheng came to the far Fusang forest on the back mountain of Qinghu Peak. The air here was filled with the faint smell of sulfur. Ye Changsheng called softly, "Xiaohuo, call all the friends who went to battle yesterday." As soon as the voice fell, Xiaohuo flew down from the tree and rubbed Ye Changsheng's hand affectionately. Then Xiaohuo chirped a few times, and soon after, the other 9 fire crows also flew over and surrounded Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng smiled and stroked their feathers, saying, "You performed well in the battle, now it's time to reward you." He took out the second level upper grade fire attribute demon pill from the storage bag and handed it to Xiaohuo. A trace of excitement flashed in Xiaohuo's eyes, and he opened his mouth to swallow the demon pill. Then, Ye Changsheng took out the remaining 10 second level lower grade demon pills and distributed them to the remaining 9 fire crows. Chapter 121 Enlightenment Tea. Absorb the energy of these demon pills and improve your strength. Ye Changsheng said softly. After the fire crows swallowed the demon pill, their eyes flashed with strange light. They flew back to the fire hibiscus tree where they were resting and began to close their eyes to absorb the energy of the demon pill. As time passed, the bodies of the fire crows began to emit a faint red light and the surrounding temperature gradually increased. Ye Changsheng knew that they had entered a deep absorption state. He stopped disturbing them and turned around to leave. A month later, Xiaohuo had finished digesting the energy of the demon pill and successfully advanced to the late second level. Only 2 of the remaining 9 have advanced to the second level middle level. Ye Changsheng came to the heavenly palace again when he had some free time. Ye Changsheng came here to look for the enlightenment tea. After all, only this legendary tea in the world of immortality can solidify Ye Changsheng's foundation of cultivation. As we all know, the lowest level of enlightenment tea is the 3rd level. Therefore, Ye Changsheng walked directly into the penultimate ring of the heavenly palace, glanced at each shop, and finally stopped in front of a shop called Wanayoze. The store is not big, but the plaque hanging at the door exudes a faint aura, which is obviously not ordinary. Pushing the door open, a burst of fragrance hits your face. A variety of elixir seeds are displayed in the store, each of which is carefully packed in a jade box. A gray-haired old man was sitting behind the counter. When he saw a customer coming in, he slowly raised his head. "Senior, I wonder if there are seeds of enlightenment tea here." Ye Changsheng asked straight to the point. A trace of surprise flashed in the old man's eyes, and then he smiled and said, "Young friend, with your sharp eyesight, you can tell at a glance that we have enlightenment tea seeds here." "Yes, we do have them, and there are more than one kind." Ye Changsheng felt happy and quickly asked, "Please give me a detailed introduction." The old man nodded, took out 3 jade boxes from under the counter, and opened them one by one. "These 3 are all seeds of the enlightenment tea tree, but their effects are different." He pointed to the first jade box and said, "This is the seed of the ordinary enlightenment tea tree. The growth cycle is about 100 years. The tea can help monks achieve enlightenment, and the effect is mild." Then, he pointed to the second one. "This is the seed of the 1000 years enlightenment tea tree. The growth cycle is about 300 years. The tea has a stronger effect and can make monks realize enlightenment in a short time." Finally, he pointed to the third jade box. "This is the seed of the long-live enlightenment tea tree. The growth cycle is about 1000 years. Tea has the best effect. It can not only make monks realize enlightenment, but also enhance their understanding and speed up their cultivation." After hearing this, Ye Changsheng pointed to the third one without hesitation and said, "I want this." The old man smiled and said, "My little friend is indeed discerning. The seeds of the long-live enlightenment tea tree are worth 20,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Have you considered it clearly?" Ye Changsheng nodded and said, "I've thought about it carefully, and I want this." With That said, he took out 20,000 high-grade spiritual stones and handed them to the old man. The old man carefully handed the jade box to Ye Changsheng and warned, "This seed is extremely precious and needs to be watered with level 3 or above spiritual liquid before it can grow." Ye Changsheng solemnly took the jade box, thanked the old man, and left the heavenly palace, returning to the real world. With a thought in his mind, Ye Changsheng came to the space of the true dragon Immortal Tree. He found a place with abundant spiritual energy, dug a small pit, and buried the seeds of the enlightenment tea tree in it. Ye Changsheng has accumulated 4 drops of 3rd level immortal dew in the past few years. This time it costs 1 drop. Then he took out a drop of level 3 immortal dew and carefully dropped it on the seed. In an instant, the ground shook slightly, and a bud broke out of the ground. Ye Changsheng held his breath and watched this wonderful growth process intently. The shoots grew at a speed visible to the naked eye and soon reached 1 meter in height. The shape of this tea tree is extremely peculiar. The branches are like a coiled dragon, and the leaves are a deep dark green. Each leaf seems to have Dao lines flowing, exuding a strong Dao charm. Every leaf is like a heavenly book, with traces of Tao faintly visible on it. In the blink of an eye, the tea tree has grown to more than 2 meters high. Ye Changsheng marveled at its beauty and magic. He saw that the whole tree was emitting a faint golden light, and there seemed to be a Taoist rhythm flowing among the branches and leaves. Each leaf is crystal clear and seems to contain the wisdom of the entire world. Ye Changsheng carefully picked 3 tea leaves and put them into the teapot that had been prepared. He poured in water and started making tea. As the water temperature rises, the tea leaves slowly stretch and a refreshing aroma fills the air. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and felt refreshed, and his mood became much clearer. When the tea was ready, Ye Changsheng poured a cup and took a sip. In an instant, a mysterious feeling surged into my heart. Ye Changsheng felt as if his consciousness had left his body and entered a wonderful realm. In this realm, he saw countless Taoist rhymes, like stars dotting the universe. These Taoist rhymes are no longer abstract and difficult to understand concepts, but have become clear and perceptible. Ye Changsheng felt as if he had touched the essence of the universe, and his understanding of Tao improved by leaps and bounds. Many cultivation problems that were difficult to understand before have become so simple and clear now. Ye Changsheng felt that his cultivation level was improving rapidly, and his understanding of Tao was also deepening. I don't know how long it took for Ye Changsheng to withdraw from this mysterious state. He was pleasantly surprised to find that not only had his cultivation level stabilized, but his understanding of Tao had far exceeded that of monks of the same level. Ye Changsheng was secretly happy, knowing that his understanding of Tao had surpassed his rapid cultivation over the years. I will basically have no worries when practicing in the future. Afterwards, Ye Changsheng picked all the tea leaves from the long live enlightenment tea tree and carefully placed them in a jade box for preservation. The long live enlightenment tea leaves weigh about 10 kilograms. Ye Changsheng's mind moved, and he left the fairy tree space. He divided 1 or 2,000-year-old tea leaves into portions and put them into carefully selected small jade boxes. Send someone to send a copy to Grandpa Yi Jiuhu. 1 share from my mother Cui Linglong, a copy from Lu Wan, a copy from Li Qian, a copy from Zhao Weina, a copy from Ye Shengaiu. Just when Ye Changsheng was practicing in seclusion again, an uninvited guest came to Ye's house. The visitor is Liu Qingyan, a late-stage foundation building monk from the Liu family of the Z Mansion. On this trip, he was ordered to convey the recruitment order of Liu Huan, the ancestor of Zifu. Liu Qingyan got straight to the point. Master Yi, my ancestor has ordered that your King's Hu Yi family must send at least 2 foundation building monks to help guard the Forbidden City. Yi Zhelong frowned when he heard this. The Forbidden City is the territory of the Liu family of the Z Mansion, and it is unreasonable for a small family like them to guard it. Liu Dao Yi Zhelong spoke carefully. Most of my Yi family's foundation building monks have just entered the world, and their strength is still weak. Moreover, our own territory is not small, and we have to take care of the key refining forces under our jurisdiction. I wonder if this mission can. Chapter 122 forced. Before he could finish, Liu Qingyan interrupted him and said, Master Yi, this is an order from the Linxio sect. Our Liu family has the right to deploy all foundation building forces within the jurisdiction. Moreover, our ancestor is confronting the third level green bull monster, and the situation is tense. If the situation worsens due to your family's non-cooperation, the consequences will be unbearable for your Ye family. After hearing this, Ye Jialang couldn't help but sigh, secretly pointing knew that it was useless to shirk responsibility, so he had to respond. In this case, we will discuss and send 2 foundation building cultivators. Please wait for a moment, fellow Daoist Liu. After Liu Qingyan left, Ye Jialang immediately convened an emergency meeting of the core members of the clan. Ye Changsheng was also called out of seclusion and hurried to the meeting hall of King's Hu Peak Point. Ye Jialang explained Liu Qingyan's intentions and requirements in detail, and everyone present was indignant after hearing it. This Zifu Liu family is too domineering. Ye Jiubeo couldn't help but slammed the table and stood up. Although our King's Hu Yi family is not as strong as them, we are not fish that can be slaughtered at will. Ye Changsheng also echoed, that's right, why should we guard their territory? We can't even take care of our own territory. This Liu family is a bit too much. Ye Jiu said. Ye Jialang waved his hand and signaled everyone to calm down. Everyone, I understand your anger, but the Zifu Liu family has the Zifu ancestor behind them, so we have to consider it carefully. If we offend them, the consequences may be unbearable. After hearing this, everyone fell silent. Indeed, with the strength of the King's Hu Yi family, it is impossible to compete with the Zifu Liu family. Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment and said, clan leader, since you can't refuse, why don't I go? My strength. Ye Jialang shook his head and interrupted, Changsheng, you just returned from the last mission. This time it's our turn from King's Hu Peak. Besides, the hope of whether our Ye family can break through to the Purple Mansion family lies in you. You need more time to retreat and improve your cultivation. Don't go this time. Ye Changsheng had to give up after hearing this. Ye Jialang looked around at everyone and continued, we only have 5 foundation building cultivators on the surface, and we must send to this time. After repeated consideration, I think it is more appropriate for Dongren Taishang and Jiubeo to go. Ye Dongren and Ye Jiubeo looked at each other and stood up at the same time. Clan leader, don't worry, we will do our best and live up to our mission. Others were a little worried. Ye Jiu said, Dongren Taishang, Jiubeo, you have just broken through the foundation building stage, and your cultivation is still shallow. I'm afraid that there will be many dangers on the way to the Forbidden City. You must be more careful. Ye Dongren smiled and said, don't worry, Jiuhu, Jiubeo and I each have a Vajra puppet equipped by Changsheng. That is a treasure with the strength of the middle stage of foundation building, which is enough to protect ourselves. Ye Jiubeo also nodded and said, yes, with the Vajra puppet, we can escape, even if we encounter danger. Everyone felt relieved after hearing this, but they were still worried. Ye Jialang said in a deep voice, in this case, you two should set off immediately. Be careful on the road, and don't act rashly. If there is any danger, send a letter for help immediately. Ye Dongren and Ye Jiubeo solemnly agreed, and then said goodbye, and left to prepare their luggage. Not long after, the two of them drove the flying boat, slowly took off under the eyes of their clansmen, and flew towards the Forbidden City. The two flew for more than a day and finally arrived at the Forbidden City. Although they encountered monsters during the period, fortunately, they were all first level monsters, and they were easily dispatched by the two. When the two arrived at the Forbidden City, they were greeted by Liu Qingyan. However, after Liu Qingyan learned that the two were from Ye Changsheng's family, he was very polite to them. I didn't expect that the two Taoist friends were from the family of Brother Changsheng. I will definitely arrange a good position for the two. Liu Qingyan said. The two did not expect Ye Changsheng to have such a big face, and they were stunned. The two immediately thanked him. Because of the large flow of people in the Forbidden City, it has long been targeted by the monster group. The next morning, Ye Dongren and Ye Jiubeo followed other foundation building cultivators to the defense line on the eastern edge of the Forbidden City. There are relatively few second level high quality monsters in the monster group here compared to the other 3 sides. The pressure should also be less. There are also more than 20 foundation building cultivators arranged together, including several foundation building cultivators from the Liu family. Soon after arriving, there were roars of beasts in the distance. Everyone looked intently and saw that the mountains and plains were full of monsters, including some huge second level monsters. Prepare to meet the enemy. A late stage foundation building cultivator of the Liu family shouted. Immediately, more than 20 foundation building cultivators sacrificed their magic weapons and set up battle formations. Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng also summoned their Vajra puppets and prepared for battle. In the blink of an eye, the army of monsters rushed to the front. The leader was a giant python with a body length of nearly 10 feet, which opened its bloody mouth and pounced on the crowd. Kill. With an order, the 2 sides fought together in an instant. Ye Changsheng controlled the Vajra puppet to wield a giant axe, splitting the head of a second level wolf demon with one axe. Ye Changsheng commanded the puppet to swing a spear and pierce the monsters that rushed up one by one. Other cultivators also displayed their magical powers, either using flying swords or casting spells to fiercely engage in battles with the monster army. However, the number of monsters was too large, and soon some cultivators were defeated and fell. Liu family cultivator in the early stage of foundation building was besieged by 3 second level monster tigers and was torn into pieces in the blink of an eye. Ye Changsheng was shocked when he saw this and hurriedly controlled the Vajra puppet to rush forward to support. The puppet swung a huge axe and split a demon tiger in half. The other 2 demon tigers were furious and spurted out 2 flames from their mouths. Ye Changsheng quickly controlled the puppet to raise the huge axe to block, but it was still burned red. He was shocked and thought that, although this Vajra puppet was strong, it was difficult to completely resist the full strength attack of the second level demon beast. At this moment, a second level demon tiger with a larger body suddenly fell from the sky, opened its bloody mouth and bit Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng was shocked and quickly controlled the puppet to block in front of him. Boom. With a loud bang, the Vajra puppet was slapped away by the claws of the second level demon tiger and fell heavily to the ground. Ye Changsheng was also shocked by this huge force and vomited blood, staggering back. Seeing the second level demon tiger rushing again, Ye Changsheng had no time to dodge, and a trace of despair flashed in his heart. At the critical moment, a golden light suddenly flashed. Ye Changsheng's Vajra puppet rushed to Ye Changsheng at some point, waving his spear to force the second level middle grade demon tiger back. Changsheng, are you okay, Ye? Changsheng asked anxiously. Ye Changsheng shook his head and barely stood up. Thank you for saving me, I'm fine. The 2 just breathed a sigh of relief, but saw the second level demon tiger rushing again. This time it learned its lesson, first spraying a flame to force the Vajra puppet back, and then rushing directly towards Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng. At the critical moment, Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng simultaneously offered a talisman. 2 golden lights flashed, which were the second level upper grade golden sword talismans they had prepared in advance. It was the bottom of the box. 2 golden giant swords flew out and hit the head of the second level demon tiger with a click. The demon tiger's skull was actually shattered and its huge body fell to the ground. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 Xianggang Battleship. Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng were overjoyed to see this and were about to pursue the victory. However, they saw several second level monsters rushing in from a distance, so they had to fight again. The fierce fighting lasted until dusk. When the monster army finally retreated, more than half of the monks on the defense line had been killed. Those who survived were also covered in wounds and exhausted. Ye Changsheng and Ye Changsheng looked at each other and saw fear in each other's eyes. If it weren't for the protection of the Vajra puppet, they would have died in the mouth of the monster. However, what was even more frustrating was that most of the corpses of the monsters they had killed with great effort were snatched away by the retreating monsters. This meant that they not only suffered heavy losses, but also didn't get much spoils, thanks to the Vajra puppet, equipped by Changsheng for us, otherwise we would have died countless times. Ye Changsheng side point Ye Jiubeo nodded. Yes, this time it was really dangerous. But our Vajra puppet was also seriously damaged, and it may need a major repair before it can be restored. After fighting for more than 10 days on the battlefield of the Forbidden City, the battle situation was reported to the Ye family. The battle was very fierce, and more than half of the foundation building cultivators had died. Ye Changsheng and Ye Jiubeo were also seriously injured, and the second level middle grade puppet was already in a semi-disabled state due to frequent battles. The Ye family discussed that they had to find someone to replace them, otherwise they would also die in the battle. After all, they couldn't escape. If they had disobeyed the order and didn't go, they would still have a chance to appeal. Now that they have come to the battlefield of the battle with the monsters, running away is a 100% serious crime. After Ye Changsheng knew it, he didn't say anything, and went directly to the retreat room. With a flash of his mind, he came to the space of the true dragon fairy tree. Ye Changsheng buried a Shinling fruit core in the vacant spiritual soil, and ripped a drop of third level fairy dew into it. As soon as the fairy dew touched the fruit core, it quickly seeped in. A moment later, a seedling broke out of the soil, and grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. The leaves stretched out, the branches grew longer, and soon it grew into a lush fruit tree. The whole process took only a few dozen breaths, and Ye Changsheng saw 12 crystal clear fruits on the crown of the tree. These fruits exuded a faint spiritual aura, and they were the rare Shinling fruit. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction, reached out to pick the 12 Shinling fruits, and carefully put them into the jade box. 12 new Shinling fruits were harvested, and there were 12 before. Now Ye Changsheng has 24 Shinling fruits. Ye Changsheng then sat on the altar to the heavenly palace. A flash of light passed, and Ye Changsheng's figure appeared at the entrance of the heavenly palace. He took a deep breath, felt the unique spiritual atmosphere of the heavenly palace, and stepped into this mysterious and magnificent place. The outer ring of the heavenly palace is prosperous and bustling, with all kinds of shops lined up. Ye Changsheng came to Shinling Pavilion again, and sold 20 Shinling fruits at the price of 25,000 high-grade spirit stones each, earning 500,000 high-grade spirit stones. Ye Changsheng now has 590,000 high-grade spirit stones in his pocket, plus the more than 90,000 high-grade spirit stones he had left. With money in his pocket, he is not worried. Ye Changsheng started the next step. Ye Changsheng followed the route in his memory, and soon found a store specializing in selling warships. The store has a magnificent facade, with a plaque of Xiangang Warship Pavilion hanging above it, flashing a faint spiritual light. Ye Changsheng pushed the door open and entered. A kind-looking old man came up to him. "Fellow Daoist, are you here to buy a warship?" Ye Changsheng nodded and said, "Yes, I would like to ask if there are any warships suitable for cultivators in the middle stage of foundation building." The old man smiled and said, "Fellow Daoist, you have come at the right time. We have several warships suitable for cultivators in the middle stage of foundation building. Please follow me." He led Ye Changsheng to a spacious showroom at the back of the store. In the hall, there were various warship models of different sizes and shapes. The old man pointed to 3 of the warship models and introduced. These 3 warships are suitable for the operation of the mid-stage foundation building cultivators, namely U-0027 Yangxiao, U-0027 U-0027 Fihang, U-0027 and U-0027 Xiangang, U-0027. He first introduced the Yangxiao. This warship is made of second level low grade spiritual wood, inlaid with second level medium grade defense formations and second level high grade attack formations. It is equipped with 24 spiritual cannons, each of which is loaded with 20 medium grade spiritual stones each time, and each attack is equivalent to the full force of a second level early cultivator. The overall impact force of the warship is comparable to that of a second level early monster. The price is 50,000 high grade spiritual stones. Then he pointed to the Fihang. This warship is made of second level medium grade spiritual wood, inlaid with the second level medium grade defense formation and the second level top grade attack formation. Equipped with 30 spiritual cannons, each spiritual cannon is loaded with 30 middle grade spiritual stones each time, and the attack is equivalent to the full strength attack of the second level mid-stage cultivator. The collision ability is comparable to that of the second level mid-stage monster. The price is 80,000 top grade spiritual stones. Finally, he introduced the Xianggang. This is a treasure of our store. The whole body is made of second level top grade spiritual wood, inlaid with second level top grade defense formation and second level top grade attack formation. Equipped with 36 spiritual cannons, each spiritual cannon is loaded with 40 middle grade spiritual stones each time, and each attack is comparable to the full strength attack of the second level top grade cultivator. The collision ability is comparable to that of the second level late stage monster. The price is 120,000 top grade spiritual stones. After listening to the introduction, Ye Changsheng thought carefully. Considering his own strength and future development, he decided to choose the Xianggang with the highest cost performance. I choose U0027 Xianggang U0027. Ye Changsheng said. The old man heard this. A flash of surprise flashed in his eyes, and then he showed a happy smile. Dao I have good vision. U0027 Xianggang U0027 is indeed the best of the three warships. But the price is also the highest. Are you sure you want to buy it? Ye Changsheng nodded and said, sure, okay, then please follow me to go through the procedures. The old man led Ye Changsheng to the counter and began to process the purchase procedures. Soon, Ye Changsheng successfully paid 120,000 high quality spirit stones and obtained the ownership of Xianggang. The old man handed a storage bag to Ye Changsheng and explained, the battleship is in this storage bag. Dao can take it out and use it at any time. There are also detailed instructions for use inside. Please be sure to read it carefully. Ye Changsheng took the storage bag and nodded with satisfaction. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly thought of something and turned around to ask, boss, do you have any spiritual cannons for sale here? The old man was slightly stunned, then smiled and said, of course. But Dao just bought U0027 Xianggang U0027. Isn't it already equipped with 36 spiritual cannons? Ye Changsheng explained, I also need some spiritual cannons for use on land. I see. The old man suddenly realized, we do have spiritual cannons for sale separately. I wonder what grade you need. Second grade. Top grade. Ye Changsheng said directly, I need 60. The old man raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard this. 60 second grade top grade spiritual cannons? Dao, are you going to form an army? Chapter 124. Third level spirit cannon. Ye Changsheng smiled and said nothing, just waiting for the old man's answer. The old man thought for a moment and said, there are indeed second level high grade spiritual cannons, but if purchased separately, the price will be more expensive than those that come with the battleship. Each one requires about 3,000 high grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment and finally nodded. Okay, then give me 60 at this price. The old man was a little surprised. Fellow Taoist, are you sure? 60 gates are equivalent to 180,000 high grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng said firmly. Okay, when the old man saw this, he stopped talking and immediately arranged for his men to prepare the goods. Soon, 60 second order high grade spiritual cannons were put into another storage bag. Ye Changsheng happily paid 180,000 high grade spiritual stones and put away the storage bag containing the spiritual cannon. Before leaving, the old man warned, fellow Taoist, the instructions for using these spiritual cannons are also in the storage bag. Please read them carefully. If you have any questions, you can come to us at any time. Ye Changsheng thanked the old man and left the battleship shop. Next, Ye Changsheng came to the Lingxi exchange office in Xianggang. People come and go here, and it's very lively. Ye Changsheng waited in line for a while, and finally it was his turn to handle business. I want to exchange 100,000 high grade spiritual stones for mid grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng said to the staff behind the counter. The staff nodded and quickly made a calculation. 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones can be exchanged for 1 million medium-grade spiritual stones. Can you please confirm the exchange? After Ye Changsheng confirmed it, he quickly completed the exchange point. He carefully put away these medium-grade spiritual stones and prepared them for daily consumption on the battleship point. After completing all the matters, Ye Changsheng felt very satisfied. After completing these matters, Ye Changsheng did not leave. He turned around and headed to the penultimate floor of the Heavenly Palace, which was an area dedicated to selling third-level immortal cultivation materials. Ye Changsheng first came to a shop selling warships. The store has a grand facade, with a plaque reading Zuanshan Battleship Pavilion hanging above it. As soon as he entered the door, a middle-aged man in Chinese attire came up to him. "Fellow Taoist, welcome. I wonder what kind of warship you need." Ye Changsheng directly stated the purpose of his visit. "I want to buy a third-level low-grade spiritual cannon." The middle-aged man was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "It turns out that my fellow Taoist is here to buy spiritual cannons. We do have third-level low-grade spiritual cannons for sale separately. Please come with me." He took Ye Changsheng to a display area, pointed to a silver-white spiritual cannon about 3 feet long, and said, "This is the newly developed U-0027 Xianggang Puan cannon. U-0027 in our store. A third-level low-grade, powerful, can easily penetrate the defense of a second-level monster." Ye Changsheng looked at the spiritual cannon carefully and asked, "What is the specific power? How much is the price?" The middle-aged man introduced in detail. "This spiritual cannon consumes 100 middle-grade spiritual stones for each launch. It can emit a spiritual beam with a diameter of 1 foot and a range of up to 10 miles. The price is 20,000 high-grade spiritual stones." Ye Changsheng thought for a moment, nodded and said, "Okay, I want it." The middle-aged man was overjoyed when he heard this. "Okay, I will handle it for fellow Taoist." Soon, the transaction was completed. Ye Changsheng put the spirit cannon into his storage bag and left the Xianggang battleship store. Next, Ye Changsheng went to a store called Wanmuan. This place specializes in selling all kinds of strange trees and plant monsters. The store is lush and green, like a small forest. As soon as Ye Changsheng entered the door, he saw a tree about 3 feet tall, with an umbrella-shaped crown and shiny green leaves. An old man in a green robe came over and said, "Fellow Taoist, are you interested in this big iron umbrella?" Ye Changsheng shook his head and said, "No, I want to find a third-level low-level tree demon that can be controlled by low-level monks. As we all know, because the spirit of the tree demon is relatively weak, it can be controlled by low-level monks." After recognizing it as its master as a result, it was welcomed by many monks and was expensive. This is Ye Changsheng's plan. The old man's eyes lit up. "I see. We happen to have a very suitable tree demon here, called U-0027 Qiang Vine U-0027. Please come with me." He took Ye Changsheng to the depths of the shop, pointed to a seemingly ordinary vine and said, "This is the green shadow vine, a third-level low-grade, but very suitable for low-level monks to control. It can split into multiple vines. Each can act independently, both offensively and defensively." Ye Changsheng looked at the Qiang vine carefully and asked, "How to control it specifically? How much does it cost?" The old man explained, "The control is very simple. After refining the control jade talisman, you only need to use your spiritual consciousness to establish contact with it. As for the price, it is 30,000 high-grade spiritual stones." Ye Changsheng thought for a moment, nodded and said, "Okay, I bought it." The old man smiled and said, "Okay, I will prepare it for fellow Taoist. By the way, we will also provide a detailed cultivation and use instructions. Do you want it, fellow Taoist?" Ye Changsheng accepted it happily. "Thank you very much." After the transaction was completed, Ye Changsheng put the Qiang vine and the instructions into his storage bag and left Wanmu Garden with satisfaction. After completing all the purchases, Ye Changsheng secretly calculated in his heart. This time he spent a total of 350,000 high-grade spiritual stones, exchanged for 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones and still had 140,000 high-grade spiritual stones left. He quickly communicated with the Xiangang altar, and his mind returned to the real world. After Ye Changsheng returned from the heavenly palace, he immediately found the clan leader Ye Jialang. He said solemnly, "Clan leader, I have something important to discuss." Seeing this, Ye Jialang immediately took Ye Changsheng to a secluded courtyard, because the monster tide is approaching. I feel that it is not far from our Ye family, so I prepared some equipment for the family. Ye Changsheng said. Ye Changsheng took out a huge box from the storage bag and opened it to reveal the 36 spirit cannons neatly arranged inside. These spirit cannons are silver white and emit a faint spiritual light. Obviously, they are not ordinary items. When Ye Jialang saw these spirit cannons, a trace of shock flashed in his eyes, but he soon regained his calm. He did not ask about the source of these spiritual cannons, but looked at them carefully and asked, "Changsheng, how powerful are these spiritual cannons? How do you need to control them?" Ye Changsheng explained, "Patriarch, these are second-level high-grade spiritual cannons, powerful enough to deal with second-level monsters. Controlling them requires at least the cultivation of the middle level of key refining. Each shell consumes 40 medium-grade spiritual stones." He continued, "I suggest that these spiritual cannons be placed around the Ye family. In this way, we can effectively strike the monsters without having to use a large formation." Ye Jialang nodded in agreement. "Good idea. This can greatly reduce our casualties." Ye Changsheng took out another bulging bag from the storage bag and handed it to Ye Jialang. "Patriarch, here are 300,000 medium-grade spiritual stones, which can be used for spiritual cannons." Ye Jialang took the bag and felt a heavy weight in it and couldn't help but be moved. "Changsheng, you have done so much for the family." Ye Changsheng waved his hand. "Patriarch, you are welcome. It is the responsibility of each of us to protect the family. I just do my best." Chapter 125, Level 3 Treeman. Ye Jialang nodded happily. "Okay, then I will arrange the arrangement of the spiritual cannon." Ye Changsheng waved his hand to stop the clan leader Ye Jialang. "Chief, I have something else to do." After saying that, Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and then took out the Xiangang battleship from the storage bag. I saw a dazzling light flash, and a huge battleship more than 50 meters long appeared out of thin air in the courtyard. The entire body of the battleship was a deep blue, with complex runes engraved on its surface, emitting powerful spiritual energy fluctuations. Ye Jialang's eyes widened, and he was speechless in surprise. He circled around the battleship and looked at the behemoth carefully. Ye Changsheng introduced the configuration of this battleship to Ye Jialang in detail. After a long time, he came back to his senses and said excitedly, "What a magical vessel. This is a treasure of my Ye family. With such a powerful battleship, how many ordinary second-level monsters will be wiped out?" Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and said solemnly, "Clan leader, I plan to pilot this U-0,027 Xiangang U-0,027 to the battlefield of Forbidden City to rescue Yi Dongren and Yi Jiubeo." When Ye Jialang heard this, a trace of worry flashed in his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by determination. He nodded and said, "Okay, with this battleship, you will be safe and sound in Forbidden City." Ye Changsheng continued, "However, this battleship needs 36 spirit gunners to control it, and it requires at least a mid-stage key refining level. Please also ask the clan leader to allocate manpower." Ye Jialang agreed without hesitation. "No problem, I will arrange it immediately." He quickly summoned the monks in his family, who were above the middle stage of key refining, and soon gathered 36 people. After the 36 monks boarded the battleship, they were all stunned by its magnificent internal structure. Ye Changsheng patiently explained to them the operating methods and precautions of the spirit cannon. He also prepared 8,000 medium-grade spiritual stones for each spiritual gunner, enough to fire 200 cannons. These spiritual stones are used to launch spiritual cannons, so everyone must use them sparingly. Ye Changsheng warned. While the tribesmen were getting familiar with the operation of the battleship's cannon, Ye Changsheng quietly left and went to his grandfather Ye Jiu, whose residence alone. He knocked on the door gently and heard his grandfather's old but still powerful voice. Come in, Ye. Changsheng pushed the door open and saw Ye Jiuhu sitting at the desk reading ancient books. Seeing his grandson arriving, the old man showed a kind smile. Changsheng, you came at the right time. I heard that you bought a battleship, Ye. Changsheng bowed respectfully, then sat across from his grandfather and began to report in detail the situation of the battleship and his plans. Yes, Grandpa. I bought a U-027 Xiangang U-027 battleship and plan to drive it to the Forbidden City. On the battlefield, rescue Ye Dongren and Ye Jiubeo. Ye Jiuhu frowned slightly, a trace of worry flashed in his eyes. This is too dangerous, Changsheng. There is a battlefield where monsters are aging. Ye Changsheng replied firmly, Grandpa, I have made full preparations. This battleship is equipped with 36 second level high grade spiritual cannons, which is enough to deal with most dangers. Moreover, I have arranged for 36 clan members as spiritual gunners. Seeing his grandson's thoughtful arrangements, Ye Jiuhu was a little relieved, but still a little worried. Then what will happen to the family's defense after you leave? Ye Changsheng showed a mysterious smile, took out a jade box from the storage ring, and opened it gently. Grandpa, please take a look. Ye Jiuhu looked intently and saw 24 crystal clear spirit cannons neatly arranged in the box, each one emitting a faint spiritual light. The old man's eyes widened for a moment and he asked in disbelief, that's right, Grandpa. These are 24 second order high grade spiritual cannons. Ye Changsheng explained, we can place them around Linghu Peak. If the family formation is breached, these spiritual cannons can be used to deal with the monsters outside Qinghu Peak. Ye Jiuhu was so shocked that he couldn't speak. It took him a long time to come back to his senses and praised, good boy. I really have you. With these spiritual cannons, our Qinghu Peak's defense power has been greatly enhanced. Seeing that his grandfather was so happy, Ye Changsheng took out a larger box from the storage bag and handed it to Ye Jiuhu. Grandpa, this is a 3rd level low grade spiritual cannon. It can launch 3rd level low grade attacks. If there are 3 when monsters invade, you can use it on Qinghu Peak to destroy the enemy. Ye Jiuhu carefully took the storage bag and looked at it carefully. His hands trembled slightly and his eyes were full of wonder and joy. The 3rd order spiritual cannon. This is a treasure that even some large sects may not have. Changsheng, I really have it for you. Ye Changsheng smiled and said nothing. Grandpa, this is 300,000 middle grade spiritual stones. Each shot of the 2nd order high grade spiritual cannon requires 40 middle grade spiritual stones. Each shot of the 3rd order spiritual cannon requires 100 middle grade spiritual stones. My 300,000 mid-grade spiritual stones are enough for you to use for a while. Ye Changsheng took out a storage bag and handed it to his grandfather Ye Jiuhu. Okay. Ye Jiuhu looked at the 3rd order spiritual cannon in the storage bag with excitement. Just when Ye Jiuhu was still immersed in surprise, Ye Changsheng took out the last treasure, the 3rd level tree man. Grandpa, this is a 3rd level tree man. It can be used at the most critical moment of Qinghu Peak. Normally it will turn into an ordinary tree and no one can see it. Ye Changsheng explained while taking out the control jade talisman. I will hand over the control to you now. Ye Jiuhu took the jade talisman and felt a powerful breath of life rushing towards his face. He closed his eyes and carefully felt the power contained in the jade talisman. The expression on his face gradually changed from shock to relief and pride. Good boy, you are really the lucky star of my Ye family. Ye Jiuhu opened his eyes and looked at his grandson lovingly. With these treasures, our Ye family will have more protection in this catastrophe. But his tone suddenly became serious. Your journey is still full of dangers. You must be careful and cautious. Remember not to be reckless. Ye Changsheng nodded solemnly. Grandpa, don't worry. I will definitely act cautiously and return safely. Ye Jiuhu patted his grandson's shoulder with relief. Go. We are all waiting for you to return triumphantly. After saying goodbye to his grandfather, Ye Changsheng returned to Qinghu Peak and continued to instruct the tribe members to operate the spirit cannon. Seeing the tribe members' gradually skilled movements, Ye Changsheng was very relieved. In the next 3 days, Ye Changsheng led these spirit cannonmen to conduct intensive training. They repeatedly practiced the loading, aiming and firing processes of the spirit cannon until everyone could operate it proficiently. At the same time, Ye Changsheng was also familiar with the various functions of the warship. He carefully studied the battleship's control system, defense formations, and attack formations to ensure that he could fully control this behemoth. The 3 days of training passed quickly. On the morning of the departure day, the entire Ye family was boiling. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.